Chapter 612. Next time knock. I don't dare. Tang Yun didn't dare to. She didn't want her dream to be destroyed. Haha, how would you know if you don't look? Lin Yi smiled. This isn't like you. You wouldn't be this worried in the past, would you? Lin Yi was right. Tang Yun wouldn't be this hesitant in the past. She was a girl who took responsibility for her actions. Tang Yun glared at Lin Yi but didn't say anything. She thought, what difference does it make if I'm pretty or not? Not being pretty would save me a lot of trouble. But it was different now. If she wasn't pretty, would he still like her? However, under Lin Yi's persuasion, Tang Yun still walked in front of the mirror. She panicked and looked at herself in the mirror. She couldn't help but be shocked. The scar on her forehead was gone. There was only a shallow mark left. If one didn't look closely, they wouldn't be able to see it. This is new skin. It'll be different from before, but there won't be any difference after a few days, Lin Yi explained. Is it really that magical? Tang Yun couldn't believe it. She had 8 stitches on her forehead. Although Lin Yi removed them in the end, it was still a mess of flesh and blood. In just one day, she recovered to her original appearance. Was she dreaming? There's nothing magical about it. Dr. Kang's golden creation can achieve this effect a long time ago. Lin Yi didn't think that what he did was magical. Dr. Kang's golden creation. How can my family afford it? I've never used it before. How would I know? Tang Yun was so happy that she was hopping around the room like a little bird. When she saw her mother come in, Tang Yun jumped in fright and almost fell down. Lin Yi quickly supported Tang Yun. Tang Yun fell into Lin Yi's arms. Mrs. Tang came to check on her daughter's condition, afraid that she'd be depressed. After all, Mrs. Tang hadn't seen Lin Yi's medicine with her own eyes. She didn't know if Tang Yin could recover. She saw her daughter and Lin Yi being intimate. Mrs. Tang coughed awkwardly. I'm going out for a walk, Mom. Tang Yin was embarrassed as she struggled out of Lin Yi's embrace, not daring to look at Mrs. Tang. She was pissed off that she'd fallen when her mother opened the door and walked in, not daring to look at her. This was so embarrassing. Did her mother think that she was throwing herself into Lin Yi's arms? Haha, I'll knock first next time. Mrs. Tang thought to herself, my daughter is all grown up now. It looks like I'll have to be more careful in the future. I didn't think about this in the past, but now I realize that my daughter needs her own space. Of course, this was under the assumption that Mrs. Tang liked Lin Yi. Mrs. Tang wouldn't be as easygoing as she was with Lin Yi. She'd be more than happy to ruin things. Mom, what are you talking about? Tang Yin said a little awkwardly. The wound on my forehead healed. I was so happy that I almost fell down, and Lin Yi just helped me up a little. Tang Yin felt a bit guilty under her mother's gaze, so she couldn't speak with confidence. I understand, Mrs. Tang said as she looked at her daughter's expression. Tang Yin knew that the misunderstanding had deepened. Auntie. Lin Yi didn't panic at all. He politely nodded to Mrs. Tang and asked, how's Uncle Tang's injury? He's much better. With the medicine you gave him, he doesn't feel any pain anymore. He's also taken the Chinese medicine. He looks good. In fact, Mrs. Tang didn't expect Tang Jiqing to recover so quickly. He didn't feel any pain at all today, and it seemed like he was going to recover soon. Let's go see Uncle Tang, said Lin Yi. Is the wound on your forehead really healed? At this time, Mrs. Tang walked closer and saw the wound on Tang Yun's forehead. There was only a shallow scar left. Other than that, there was nothing strange. The scar was so shallow that it couldn't be seen anymore. It would probably disappear after some time. Yes, I'm really fine now, Tang Yun said as she looked at Lin Yi shyly and said to her mother. Lil Yi's medical skills are really amazing, Mrs. Tang praised. She looked at Lin Yi with more and more admiration. She felt that her daughter was really lucky to have met Lin Yi. She wouldn't have to worry for the rest of her life, and his family's life would gradually get better. Mrs. Tang also saw the news. The collapse of Qibing's skyscraper was on TV. Although they didn't say the reason and only said that the quality of the construction wasn't up to standard, Mrs. Tang knew that things weren't that simple. How could it be so coincidental? Lin Yi just got his revenge on Zhao Qibing and his skyscraper collapsed because of the quality of the construction? How is that possible? Anyone with a brain would know that it was Lin Yi who collapsed it. At that time, Lin Yi asked Fatty Lai to find a bulldozer, trenching machine, and a demolition team. It would be weird if the skyscraper collapsed by itself. Even if Zhao Qibing was a black-hearted businessman and skimped on materials, he wouldn't skimp on his own office building. One had to know that he had to work in the skyscraper, and the skyscraper was the face of the company. If the quality of the office building wasn't up to standard, how could people buy his company's real estate? But Zhao Qibing had no other choice. In comparison, he couldn't afford to lose face. He would rather swallow his teeth and say that his skyscraper wasn't up to standard than admit that it was Lin Yi who demolished his skyscraper. Mrs. Tang was straightforward. Zhao Qibing demolished his house and Lin Yi went to demolish his skyscraper. He destroyed Tang Yun's face and broke Tang Juqing's legs. Lin Yi did the same, destroying his face and breaking his legs. Mrs. Tang wouldn't have dared to think of this in the past. Those people were rich and powerful. How could her family be their opponent? They suffered losses and had no way out. But it was different now. They had Lin Yi to protect them. Lin Yi followed Mrs. Tang and Tang Yun to Tang Juqing's ward. Tang Juqing was listening to the radio and a rare smile appeared on his face when he saw Lin Yi. He was even more surprised when he saw that his daughter's forehead didn't seem to have any problems. Although Tang Juqing hadn't been to Tang Yun's room after she was admitted to the hospital, he knew how serious her injuries were. He saw his daughter's face covered in blood when they were being carried by the ambulance in front of their house in the shantytown. Chapter 613. Shu is going to die and it's done. Tang Yun nodded. It's fine now. Lin Yi said that he's here to take a look at your injuries. Okay. Tang Juqing nodded happily. What do you want me to do? Uncle Tang, just lie down and you'll be fine. Lin Yi waved his hand, gesturing for Tang Juqing not to move as he walked over to check on Tang Juqing's injuries. Tang Juqing's broken legs should be able to recover very quickly under the care of Chinese medicine. However, his neurological problems were still the same. That meant that even if Tang Juqing's legs were healed, he would still be limping when he walked. Lin Yi frowned. This wasn't a good sign. Even if Tang Juqing could stand up if he tried to do rehabilitation training and limped because of the neurological problems, it would affect the recovery of his legs. If he continued walking like this, the newly healed legs might become deformed. Even if his neurological problems were healed in the future, the recovery of his legs would be different, and he would still limp. What's wrong? Lin Yi, is there a problem with my dad's illness? Tang Yun had been paying attention to Lin Yi's expression, and when she saw him frown, her heart skipped a beat. It's a bit troublesome. Lin Yi didn't hide it and explained his thoughts to Tang Yun and Mrs. Tang. He didn't hide it from Tang Juqing because it wasn't necessary. Then what should we do? Tang Yun was panicking. But Tang Juqing and Mrs. Tang weren't too worried and Tang Juqing smiled instead. It's fine if he's limping. It's good enough that he can stand up. It's better than lying on the bed, right? Tang Juqing couldn't be blamed for being optimistic. In fact, he had been lying on the bed for so long as he could stand up, he wouldn't care if he was limping or not. Being limping was better than being paralyzed, right? Mrs. Tang had the same thought. She didn't mind when Tang Juqing was paralyzed, so what if he was crippled? Originally, I wanted to wait until the end of the college entrance examination and let you go back with me to see my old man. Then I would bring back the nerve-stimulating medicine, but now it seems that there is not enough time. Lin Yi said, but it doesn't matter. I will find someone to send it over. How can I do that? Tang Juqing was flattered. Lin Yi had to trouble others for his sake. Haha, it's nothing. Lin Yi thought of Gooden, his childhood playmate. He hadn't seen him in a long time and now wasn't the time for harvest. He should have time. Dad, since Lin Yi said so, then it settled. Tang Yun saw that her father still wanted to say something, so she spoke first to finalize the matter. Naturally, Tang Yun didn't want her father to become a cripple. Even if she owed Lin Yi a favor, it was her. She owed Lin Yi a lot anyway, so she didn't care anymore. After this small misunderstanding, Tang Yun had thought it through. Repaying a favor with her body was a good way to repay a debt. Since Tang Yun had decided to follow Lin Yi, she could let him do whatever he wanted in the future. Thinking of this, Tang Yun couldn't help but blush. Yeah, old Tang. It's Lin Yi's sincerity. Don't say anything. Mrs. Tang didn't care about her husband being crippled, but she still hoped that her husband could be like a normal person. Lin Yi took out his phone and wanted to call Air Gooden, but the moment he took it out, his phone rang. Lin Yi looked at the caller ID. It was Meng Yao. Yushu's stomach was round, and she couldn't get up from the sofa. At first, it was a little uncomfortable, but it was bearable. But after a while, it became more and more uncomfortable. Yao Yao, my stomach is so uncomfortable. Why is it so big? Am I pregnant? I'm so disgusted. Yushu laid on the sofa and whimpered weakly. How can you get pregnant from eating?
Don't say that.
Meng Yao was watching TV when she heard Shu's whining. She turned off the TV and walked over. Yao Yao, if you can get pregnant from drinking soda, why can't I get pregnant from eating? There's probably Shield Bro's saliva in it, Yushu said with a pale face. All right, stop it. Meng Yao couldn't help but feel embarrassed when the past was brought up. Did you eat too much? Do you want to go to the washroom? I haven't even digested it yet. How am I supposed to go? It's so uncomfortable. Yushu felt that her stomach was full and disgusting. In short, it was a mess. Wait, I'll go get some digestive pills for you. Meng Yao was regretting her actions after seeing Yushu's discomfort. She shouldn't have let her emotions get the better of her. She didn't know if a person could die from eating too much, but since there was the phrase die from eating too much, it was probably possible, right? Meng Yao panicked even more at the thought. She quickly went to get the pills. I'm not eating, I can't eat anymore. I'll explode if I eat anymore. Yushu couldn't eat anymore. Then what should we do? Meng Yao didn't know what to do. I'm going to die. I'm going to die again. I don't want to die. Yushu felt that she was really unlucky. She'd almost died 2 days ago, and now she was going to die again. Yao Yao, why'd you do this to me? I'm not trying to steal Shield Bro from you. I told you I'd be the second wife. You still want to get rid of me. Yushu felt really unlucky. She'd almost died 2 days ago, and now she was going to die again. Why would I do this to you? Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry at Yushu's words. I don't like Lin Yi at all. Why would I steal from you? I didn't want him to bring food for Tang Yun. That's why I made you eat all of it. Right, Lin Yi? Hang in there, I'll call Lin Yi. Meng Yao heard Yushu's words and immediately thought of Lin Yi. How could she forget about him? He should have a way to save Shu, right? Lin Yi picked up Meng Yao's call, and the miss screamed, Lin Yi, where are you? Come back quickly. Shu can't hold on anymore.
What?
What did you say? Lin Yi froze. Shu can't hold on anymore? What did she mean? Shu ate too much. She can't hold on anymore. She's going to die. Come back quickly. Meng Yao said urgently. Okay, I'll go back now. Lin Yi sighed helplessly and hung up. I can't hold on anymore? Then why did she eat so much? She even ate Tang Yun's portion. Chapter 614. Yao Yao's sis wants to assassinate me, yeah. Yushu ate too much. I heard that she's about to die from overeating. I'll go back and check. Lin Yi sweated as he talked about it. What was going on? There were people who could die from overeating in this day and age. Tang Yun covered her mouth in surprise. She couldn't believe it. Did you eat too much? Overeating? Yeah, but it's not impossible for something like this to happen to Yushu. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. I'll go back first. Right, I've already talked to Dean Sheen about it. You guys can stay in the hospital for now. Otherwise, you won't have a place to stay after you leave the hospital. Director Sheen of the hospital knew Lin Yi by now, and he knew that Lin Yi had a special relationship with Guan Xuemin. Since Lin Yi had spoken up, Tang Yun and Tang Juqing could stay in the hospital even if they were discharged. It wasn't like Lin Yi didn't want to pay up anyways. He had already paid a huge deposit. There was no need for Dean Sheen to kick them out. Mrs. Tang was a little annoyed at the mention of this. She was discussing with Tang Juqing whether or not they should buy a house first. The houses in Shantytown had all collapsed and were uninhabitable. Fortunately, there was nothing valuable in them. The TV and refrigerator were bought when they got married. They were more than 10 years old and had long been worn out. It didn't matter if they were broken. As for furniture, there wasn't much. But since Lin Yi had arranged for them to stay in the hospital, they didn't have to rush to buy a house. At least they had to observe the market first. They couldn't just blindly buy a house. He didn't think it was possible for Yushu to be stuffed to death, but he still drove back to the villa as fast as he could. He saw Yushu lying on the sofa, moaning nonstop, with Mengyao beside her, holding her hand and comforting her. Yao Yao sis, I really can't take it anymore. Why isn't Shield Bro here yet? Yushu cried.
Soon.
That damn Lin Yi, he's staying at Tang Yun's place and doesn't want to leave? I don't know what's so good about Tang Yun. She's so much worse than our Shu. Mengyao complained. Cough, cough. Lin Yi broke out in a cold sweat and coughed twice. Although Tang Yun wasn't weaker than Yushu, the key was Yushu's identity. Would Lin Yi dare to touch her? She was eldest Miss Best Friend. How could there be such a comparison? Lin Yi thought to himself, if you give Yushu to me as my wife, I'll definitely bring her with me every day. Mengyao heard Lin Yi's coughing and turned back to see Lin Yi. You still know to come back? Look, Shu is about to die, go save her. Lin Yi looked at Yushu on the sofa, relieved to see that she wasn't dead yet. He frowned when he saw the bulging stomach, wondering if there was a perforation. Shield Bro, you're finally back, sob sob. Yushu started crying. I feel so bad. Yao Yao sis wants to assassinate me. No one wants to assassinate you. Are you hallucinating? Lin Yi turned to Mengyao, confused. Why would Yushu say that she wanted to assassinate her? Could it be that Yushu ate some poisonous food and was hallucinating? Mengyao blushed. Hurry up and save her. Don't ask so much. Okay. Lin Yi nodded, picked up Yushu, and flipped her over. Her head was facing the sofa, and he said to Mengyao, help me open her mouth. Don't close it. Oh, okay. Mengyao didn't dare to delay, and quickly opened Yushu's mouth. Ah. Yushu couldn't help but cry out in pain. She thought to herself, why are you and Shield Bro trying to kill me? Are you trying to open my mouth and pull out my tongue? But she couldn't speak. What's your name? Mengyao felt that Yushu's voice was similar to a certain voice, and she couldn't help but glare at her. Ah? Yushu couldn't speak with her mouth covered, and she couldn't make any sound other than aw. Hold it, it'll be fine soon. Lin Yi took a chopstick from the kitchen and started poking at Yushu's throat. Ah. Yushu felt a wave of nausea, and she finally vomited after being poked by Lin Yi. She hadn't digested her lunch yet, and she vomited it all over the floor, but Mingyao's hands were all over it. The miss wasn't disgusted at all, but looked at Yushu with concern instead. Shu, how do you feel? Yushu started vomiting, and it didn't stop. She threw up almost everything in her stomach. Whoa, it's so uncomfortable, but it's much better now, Yushu said after she was done vomiting. That's good. That's good. I was scared to death. Mengyao was scared as well. What if Yushu really died from overeating? It's not a big deal. I just had nothing better to do. Lin Yi shook his head. You can't eat that much. Why did you still eat? Yao Yao made me eat. Yushu felt wronged and she almost died. How could she not feel wronged? Why did you make her eat so much? Lin Yi was a little pissed. This wasn't a joke, and it was fortunate that she was fine. Mengyao didn't expect Lin Yi to question her with a straight face, but Mengyao was in the wrong, and she couldn't refute. Yao Yao didn't want you to bring food for Tang Yun, so she made me eat it all, Yushu said honestly. Lin Yi shook his head, speechless. It was pretty much what he expected. These two girls were too good at messing around.
Shu, stop it.
Mengyao was a little embarrassed. You're very weak. Go back to your room and rest.
Oh.
Yushu felt a little weak after hearing Mengyao's words. I can't walk, Yao Yao. Mengyao wanted to carry Yushu upstairs, but she couldn't carry her. She hesitated and turned to Lin Yi. Lin Yi, carry her upstairs. Upstairs?
Can I?
Lin Yi pointed upstairs. Mengyao was the one who'd told him firmly not to go upstairs when he first came. I'll allow this exception, Mengyao said. Just this once? There's General Weiwu. Lin Yi looked at the staircase, and General Weiwu was still squatting there. Lin Yi didn't want Meng Yao to find out that he wasn't afraid of General Weiwu, otherwise he wouldn't be able to explain himself if he lost something upstairs. Chapter 615. Elder Chu Ah?
Oh.
Lin Yi didn't expect Meng Yao to let Weiwu squat by the stairs every day, knowing that General Weiwu wasn't a threat to him. Lin Yi shook his head. In fact, Meng Yao made General Weiwu squat by the stairs to prevent thieves, not to prevent Lin Yi. Although she did guard against Lin Yi in the beginning, it wasn't necessary anymore. Meng Yao had seen through Lin Yi's character. He wouldn't bring General Weiwu up even if she asked him to. Meng Yao even hoped that he would sneak up and peek at her. At least that would prove her and Shu's charm. However, Lin Yi didn't go up. Although it was a little weird, the Miss was stubborn. Why couldn't she win against Tang Yun? The Miss pride took a huge hit. It wasn't the first time Lin Yi carried Yushu, so he didn't feel any burden. He carried Yushu and walked up the stairs. When he passed General Weiwu didn't even scream and moved to the side, lowering his head and not daring to look at Lin Yi. Meng Yao humphed and glared at Lin Yi. She just couldn't understand why Lin Yi wasn't afraid of General Weiwu. In fact, when she asked Lin Yi to go upstairs to connect the cable, Meng Yao had already suspected that General Weiwu wasn't a threat to Lin Yi. Otherwise, how could Lin Yi go up to the second floor? Until a few days ago, when Lin Yi brought General Weiwu to look for her, it made Meng Yao even more suspicious. Other than Faubert, General Weiwu couldn't even be ordered around by her daddy. How did Lin Yi get General Weiwu to go up the mountain? Because Faubert didn't come up, and only Lin Yi came to the cave alone. General Weiwu was obviously scared by Lin Yi, which was why it went to look for its master for protection. Meng Yao could see that. Lin Yi chuckled dryly, not replying as he quickly went up the stairs. Don't look around when you're on the second floor. Follow me. Meng Yao led the way and led Lin Yi to a room. She opened the door and let Lin Yi carry Yushu in. The pink bedroom was very cozy. There were many pretty flowers on the wall, and there were some plush toys on the bed. Lin Yi put Yushu on the bed, but Meng Yao kicked him out of the room before he even had time to admire her beauty. Lin Yi shrugged, a little regretful. Not many people would be able to enter the Miss Room, right? After all, not many people could enter the Miss Room. Since Meng Yao didn't let him look around, Lin Yi naturally wouldn't take the initiative to peek. He walked out of Meng Yao's room and went downstairs. He cleaned up Yushu's vomit on the sofa and returned to his room. Lin Yi called Old Lin and reported to him what happened in Songsan. Of course, there was also good news. He had leveled up. He was now at the early phase of the Mystic class. Old Lin's attitude was still indifferent. He didn't congratulate him, nor did he say anything else. He only told him to stay in House Chu. But when he was about to leave, he said to Lin Yi, if there's a chance, go and get in touch with House Chu's old man. House Chu's old man? Uncle Chu? Or Uncle Chu's father? Lin Yi asked, slightly startled.
His father.
Old Lin didn't beat around the bush with Lin Yi. If there's a chance, get in touch with him. If there's no chance, don't create one. There will always be a chance.
Ah.
Lin Yi listened to Old Lin's words. Why did it sound so weird? Was it a zen? Was there a hidden meaning behind it? But Lin Yi remembered it in his heart. Haha, nothing. Old Lin smiled faintly. Kid, you didn't call me out of the blue just to report something, did you? I remember that you don't have the habit of reporting to me unless there's something important. There is indeed something. Lin Yi said, Old man, do you still have the medicine that stimulates the nerves when I trained? I think there's some left. Why do you need it? Old Lin asked. Yes, I do. I have 2 friends with mental problems, Lin Yi said, or you can give me the recipe, and I'll make some myself. Lin Yi hadn't studied this medicine before because it wasn't useful to Lin Yi, and it was hard to make. If you're making it, there are probably a few ingredients that aren't easy to get. I planted them myself, Old Lin said. I have some finished medicine here. If you want to use it, you can come and get it. I'll ask Air Gooden to send it over, Lin Yi said. I'll call him later. That's fine. Old Lin wasn't stingy with these things, because they weren't that important. When he gave it to Lin Yi to train, he made a whole vat of it. Lin Yi wanted to send it over by courier. But this was a serious matter. Lin Yi was worried that something might go wrong, so he might as well ask Gooden to send it over. Lin Yi missed this childhood friend as well. All these years, Lin Yi didn't have a fixed place to stay. Other than doing missions, he didn't have a place to stay. Every time he went back, Gooden would listen to Lin Yi talk about the outside world. He wished that he could go out, but Lin Yi never had the chance to bring him out. Gooden's family was very poor. In fact, the village that Lin Yi lived in wasn't rich at all. The only place that could be considered rich was the village head's family, with a fish pond. There was also Widow Wang's family at the entrance of the village, with a snack bar and grocery store. Then there was Lin Yi's family. Of course, Lin Yi's family source of income came from Lin Yi's straw hats and sandals. Lin Yi's hands and feet were nimble, and he worked fast. Although many people in the village did this, Lin Yi's daily output was 4 to 5 times that of these people. How could he not be rich? In fact, this so-called rich was just being able to buy a laptop and eat at Widow Wang's snack bar. Lin Yi didn't know where all the money from all those missions went, but the old man didn't mention it, and Lin Yi didn't mention it. They weren't father and son, but they were closer than father and son, and Lin Yi didn't mind. Comparatively speaking, Gooden's family was very poor. They relied on farming for a living, and they didn't even have a phone. Gooden always wanted to leave the mountains and see the outside world, and Lin Yi promised him that he would bring him to see the world. Chapter 616. Childhood friends. Lin Yi called Widow Wang's house at the entrance of the village. Hello? Star West Village, who are you looking for? Widow Wang's village accent came through the phone. Aunt Wang, I'm old Lin's Lil Yi. Can you call Gooden for me? Lin Yi said.
Ah.
Old Lin's Lil Yi? Wait here, I'll go get him now. Widow Wang replied and put down the phone. Star West Village wasn't big, and basically everyone knew each other. Everyone bought things from Widow Wang, so Widow Wang was more than happy to have people come to her place to answer the phone. Widow Wang's shop was right next to the village, and there was a loudspeaker inside. In the village, you basically had to shout to find someone. The loudspeaker could even wake someone up in the middle of their sleep. Gooden, it's Aunt Wang. Come and answer the phone. Widow Wang yelled through the loudspeaker and returned to the shop. Not long after, a man as strong as a bull ran into the shop. He was Gooden, 185 tall. He stood in front of the shop like a wall. Aunt Wang, my phone? Gooden ran a kilometer away from home, but his face wasn't red, and his heart wasn't racing. He wasn't even out of breath. One look and you could tell that his body wasn't normal. It's Lil Yi. Hurry up, it's a long-distance call. It's very expensive. Widow Wang pointed at the phone on the table. Lin Yi bro. Gooden rubbed his hands together excitedly when he heard Lin Yi's name. I'm Gooden.
Ah.
Gooden, Lin Yi smiled. Are things busy at home? It's good. We planted the seeds a while ago, and now they're weeding and fertilizing. We're just waiting for the autumn harvest. We'll probably have a good harvest this year. Gooden said. Not bad. Do you have a girlfriend? Lin Yi asked with a smile. Who'd like me? Gooden smiled. My family's so poor, and I don't look good. I'll be a bachelor for the rest of my life. If you have nothing to do during this period, come to my house. My old man has my address. You can help me bring some things over. It's a good opportunity to see the world, Lin Yi said with a smile.
Ah.
Really? That's great. Gooden heard that Lin Yi wanted him to go to a big city and see the world, and he couldn't be happier. Then I'll leave after finishing the farm work at home. But Lin Yi bro, we haven't had the harvest yet. We don't have any travel expenses. Gooden and Lin Yi grew up together, so there was nothing to be embarrassed about. No money was no money. It wasn't shameful. Haha, my old man will help you prepare the travel expenses. If you need anything, just tell me before you leave, Lin Yi smiled. You don't have to be so polite with me. Of course, you're my Lin Yi bro. Of course I won't be polite. Gooden was like this since he was young. Other than his dad, he only listened to Lin Yi. So in his eyes, Lin Yi and his dad were on the same level. It was natural for Lin Yi to give him money.
Ha.
Lin Yi smiled. He didn't know how many years it had been since he played with Gooden. The days of catching fish and prawns together were long gone. Even after he hung up, Lin Yi was still immersed in his memories. There were 3 times in his life when he was the happiest. The first time was when he was young. At that time, he hadn't gone on a mission yet. He was still learning medicine from his old man, training his body. He didn't have many missions a day, and when he was free, he would catch fish and prawns with Gooden. It was a very carefree life. The second time was in the training camp with his teammates. He was the captain of the team, and he brought the other 6 teammates to overcome all obstacles and stand out. That time was hard and tiring, but it was also the most fulfilling. It seemed tense, but there wasn't the danger of a real mission. There was only the trust and friendship between teammates. Second brother, third brother, fourth brother, fifth brother, sixth brother, and seventh brother, where are you now? Are you doing well? Are you busy with missions all over the world? Lin Yi shook his head. His teammates had gone their separate ways after leaving the training camp, and he hadn't seen each other since. The third time was when Lin Yi was in Songshan. Although he didn't know who his enemies were, and there were always some small troubles, these days of freedom made Lin Yi really happy. He hoped that it would never end. Of course, other than these 3 happy times, Lin Yi also had a lot of painful times. One of them wasn't painful, but at least it was painful and happy at the same time. It was also a rare time. It was also during that time that he met Yang Huaijuan, Armadillo, and Ning. It was also because of Ning that this time was forcefully erased from Lin Yi's memory. It was also the reason why Lin Yi chose to run away when he first met Yang Huaijuan. Until now, Lin Yi didn't know why he rejected Ning so decisively. Was it because of the huge power behind her, or was it because he couldn't give her a stable life? Lin Yi never thought that he would retire one day, and he didn't think that he would retire at such a young age. Lin Yi didn't know what his old man was thinking. He suddenly brought him to Songshan to do a special mission that would give him a lifetime's worth of food. This was a huge deal. Lingshan flipped through the case files on her desk. The kidney trafficking organization seemed to have been a lot more restrained recently. Ever since the transit station was destroyed, they seem to have become a lot more careful. However, they didn't stop their crimes because they moved their targets and locations to the outskirts of the city. In this week, there were already 2 cases of widowed farmers being murdered. It was the same method, but the locations were more unpredictable. One of the 2 victims was a villager from Yazi village in the east of the city, and the other was a villager from Shinbu village in the west. One in the east and one in the west, tens of kilometers away from each other. There was no pattern at all. Even if they sent out the police force to keep watch, it was impossible to cover the hundreds of villages around the city with police officers. Putting aside the fact that the police force was not enough, even if it was enough, they couldn't possibly stop the entire police station and keep watch over the kidney trafficking organization, right? Lingshan felt like a coward. She'd cracked a couple of big cases since she'd been appointed, and she'd received praise and recognition from the leaders of the province, but she knew what was going on. She didn't have the face to say how she'd cracked the cases. Chapter 617. Lingshan's pursuer. It wasn't that Lingshan was a coward, it was just that she had arrived at the right time. Big cases kept popping up as soon as she took over. When Huaijuan was the captain, there were a few criminal groups as well, but they were all gangsters, bag robbers, thieves, and the like. These cases were big, but they weren't as complicated as they were now. Lingshan, on the other hand, was a special forces soldier, and she had no place to use her skills. How could she not be frustrated? When Lingshan came back, she was filled with ambition and wanted to show off her ambitions. Her dream of fighting with the gangster and taking him down didn't come true. In fact, it wasn't that she didn't have the chance to fight with the gangster, and there were quite a few of them, but how many of them could Lingshan meet by herself? Even if she fought with criminals, how many strong ones were there? How many criminals could have the strength of a golden class? Lingshan was a golden class mid-phase, and even in House Song, one of the 4 noble houses, she was the leader of the younger generation. If she wanted criminals to have golden class strength, she wouldn't need to be a criminal anymore. She could just be a bodyguard of some rich man and earn a lot. Why would she need to rob? What a headache. Why did these criminals keep coming in waves? Why did they have to do it in Songshan? Before the kidney trafficking organization appeared, Songshan did have an underground organ trade market, but because it was an underground trade, and it was done after both parties agreed on the price, no one reported it to the police. As long as these people didn't cross the line, Lingshan wouldn't interfere. She couldn't do anything about it. But now, they were kidnapping people and selling their kidneys. She couldn't just ignore it. But these people seemed to have a very strict organization, and it wasn't easy to take them out at once. It was already very difficult to destroy just one lair. The main problem was that these people had doctors and operating tables in their hands, and they didn't need to go through the proper medical system or clinics. The kidneys weren't sold locally either, and according to Lingshan's understanding, there hadn't been a single kidney transplant patient that was bought from this group. Of course, there were people who bought kidneys from the black market, but they also went through unscrupulous intermediaries. Then, they negotiated the price with the kidney seller in private, and the kidney transplant surgery was carried out in a regular hospital. The unscrupulous intermediaries only received an intermediary fee of 10 to 20,000 yuan. They had gotten rid of quite a few of these black intermediaries, but they were all small fries. They were of no help to the progress of the case. Ring dash, Lingshan's phone rang. Lingshan's ringtone wasn't like those young men and women's. It was the most common default ringtone. It also suited her profession and personality, being more mature. Hello, I'm Lingshan from the criminal investigation team. Lingshan answered the phone out of habit. It was an unknown number, and she didn't have a contact book. Lingshan's. A rough male voice sounded from the other side of the phone. I'm Chen Yutian.
Oh.
Chen Yutian? Lingshan paused, frowning imperceptibly. What's wrong? Chen Yutian smiled bitterly after hearing the coldness in Lingshan's voice. Lingshan, I'm going back to Songshan tomorrow. I have a mission. Can we have a meal together? I'm busy with the case. I don't have time. Lingshan rejected Yutian's suggestion. I see. Yutian sighed. Can we meet once? I really do have a case. Is there something important that you want to talk to me about? If not, I don't want to delay my work. Lingshan said faintly. Can't we meet if there's nothing important? We're old friends, childhood sweethearts. You can't just not give me face, can you? Yutian said helplessly. Chen Yutian, please watch your words. It's true that we're old friends, but childhood sweethearts are out of the question. Lingshan corrected him. Chen Yutian, I know what you're thinking. It's not that I'm not giving you a chance, it's your own fault. Who can you blame? Lingshan, aren't you just making things difficult for me? You're one of the best in the younger generation of the noble houses, and you're already golden class mid-phase. I just broke through. When will I ever catch up to you? Yutian smiled bitterly. You know what I'm like. I've always wanted to be strong since I was young, and my man has to be stronger than me. Otherwise, do you think he'll have a good life? Lingshan couldn't help but feel proud. Chen Yutian, I gave you a chance to challenge me, but you didn't take it. I even said that you can challenge me any time before I have a boyfriend. If you're here to challenge me, I can meet you. If not, then I'm sorry, I'm not free. Lingshan, as far as I know, other than House Yu, Wu Qintian from House Wu is also a golden class early phase. Are you saying that you won't marry if there's no one stronger than you? Yutian couldn't help but ask. How do you know that there aren't any masters other than the noble houses? Lingshan asked back. She didn't know why, but Lingshan suddenly thought of Lin Yi. She didn't know where that guy got his kung fu from, but why was he so strong? I don't seem to be his opponent. Moreover, I still have to humble myself and pretend to be Miss Braindead in front of him. He's really as abominable as he can be. But she was in his hands, unable to fight back. Was this still her personality? She was the Miss of House Song, and she was going to be taken advantage of by him? This was too humiliating. And so, Lingshan decided not to think about him. She couldn't think about him, because thinking about him made her angry. Yutian was speechless. He didn't dare say that there weren't any masters outside of the noble houses, because he knew that there were masters outside of the noble houses. But since Lingshan didn't want to see him, there was no point in saying anything. Asking Yutian to challenge Lingshan now was the same as asking for a beating. He couldn't afford to lose that face. Chapter 618. Yushu's brother, right? I want to tell you a very unfortunate piece of news. I think I've reached the barrier to the late phase of the golden class, and I'm looking for a chance to break through. Lingshan said faintly. If you want to chase me, then work hard. Of course, you can give up, because I don't have much feelings for you. Yutian almost threw the phone away when he heard Lingshan's words. Late phase of the golden class? Was Lingshan that strong? How did Hao Song have a genius like her? Yutian took in a breath of cold air. If Lingshan could reach golden class late phase at such a young age, then Hao Song's position would definitely skyrocket, and Lingshan's marriage would be even more important. Who knew what kind of marriage old Song would arrange for Lingshan to get married then? Perhaps, if they knew that Lingshan had broken through to the late phase of the golden class, then Hao Si would come to see her. Alright, I'll work hard. Yutian was in despair this time. The gap wasn't small at all, and there was no point in being angry. I'm busy, bye. Lingshan didn't say much and hung up. She didn't have any feelings for Yutian, so she purposely said that she was going to break through to the late phase of the golden class. In reality, she had just reached the middle phase peak, and there was still some distance to the late phase. Lingshan said that because she wanted Yutian to give up. She didn't like Yutian's personality. She was a strong person herself, but she liked men who were stronger. It was only with men like this that she was willing to let him come to her. Otherwise, she wouldn't feel comfortable. After failing to get a date with Lingshan, Yutian thought about his old playmates, Jiang Wen and Su Taizao. The fourth young master didn't come to Songshan often, so he didn't get to see them often. Jiang Wen and Taizao had called earlier, wanting to hold a banquet to welcome him, but Yutian didn't agree right away. He asked Lingshan if she was free first. The four young masters of Songshan were nothing more than a joke to Yutian now. They were just a bunch of kids, relying on their family's power to think they were invincible. There was nothing to be proud of. Since he'd chosen the other path, the distance between him and Jiang Wen, Taizao, and the others would only grow bigger and bigger. Although they used to be playmates, they had become estranged from each other. There was no longer the feeling of drinking and fooling around together. The Yutian now was much more mature than before, and this was also because of Lingshan's rejection that he had no choice but to walk this path. Thinking about it back then was indeed very difficult, but now that he had walked over, he realized that his choice was correct. Only by doing what he was doing could he be considered a man of indomitable spirit. Although the four young masters of Mount Songshan had been awe-inspiring, what use was that? Those empty reputations didn't belong to him. Even if they did, they would be cursed. It seemed like the gap between him and Lingshan was getting bigger and bigger. Yutian smiled bitterly. He understood that with Lingshan's personality, normal men wouldn't be able to tame her. They weren't her match in terms of martial arts. Even if she forced herself to be with him due to her family's pressure, Yutian believed that he wouldn't be able to suppress Lingshan in the future. Just like Lingshan said, he wouldn't even be able to do it. His phone rang, and Yutian looked at it. It was Jiang Wen. He'd already rejected the invitation yesterday, but Jiang Wen was still so persistent. Of course, Yutian knew exactly what Jiang Wen was thinking. He was inviting him to a banquet, and he had to bring his sister Yushu. If his sister went, Meng Yao would naturally go as well. As Meng Yao's pursuer, Jiang Wen would naturally use this opportunity to get close to Meng Yao. He was just a stepping stone. Yutian knew very well that his life was getting further and further away from Jiang Wen. They weren't on the same path at all, and their relationship wasn't that good at all. Hello, second brother? Yutian picked up the phone, but he still called Jiang Wen second brother. He was the second of the four young masters of Mount Songshan. Tian bro, how is it? Have you arranged everything? Do you have time tomorrow night? Do me the honor of meeting us brothers at Starlight Resplendent? Jiang Wen asked with a smile. Yutian's reason yesterday was that he didn't know the schedule yet and he didn't know if he had time. Haha, alright, tomorrow night it is then. I'll contact you then. Yutian accepted Jiang Wen's invitation because he couldn't get a date with Lingshan. Alright, see you then. Jiang Wen was overjoyed. As long as he invited Yutian, Yushu wouldn't come. As long as Yushu came, Meng Yao would definitely come. He never had a chance to get close to Meng Yao, and Meng Yao didn't want to give him one either. Now, he could officially invite Meng Yao and Yushu. How is it in bro? Is it done and bro? Taizao asked anxiously. It's done. We'll go visit Meng Yao and Yushu now and ask them to come to our banquet tomorrow night. Jiangwen nodded with a smile. And bro, this is a good opportunity. I think you should use this chance to confess to Meng Yao.
Taizao said.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That's true. Do you have any good ideas? It wouldn't be good for me to confess to her, would it? Jiangwen frowned. But you're right, Meng Yao's attitude towards me is a little hard to understand. She's not as friendly as she was the first time we met at the theme park. Is she blaming me for not pursuing her well enough? Maybe I should prepare some flowers for her tomorrow? That's possible, Taizao said. But forget about flowers. Girls all care about their face. You can't just go after her without doing anything, can you? But you can't be too intense and put her on the spot. It's like in many situations, girls like you pursuing them, but they don't want you to force them too much. She enjoys the process of you pursuing her, and she doesn't want to say yes right away. That's why kneeling down and begging is basically forcing people to make a decision. As long as the girl doesn't really like him, she'll reject him for sure. Even if she likes him a little, she can't just say yes right away. Chapter 619. Jiangwen's visit. And so, Jiangwen was thinking that if he were to confess with flowers, Meng Yao might really reject him outright. Their relationship would be strained like that, and it wouldn't look good if he tried to pursue her in the future. Then what do you think I should do? And bro, why don't you say something drunk? An idea came to Taizao. You drink some wine and confess your feelings to Meng Yao. If Meng Yao likes you, she'll be very shy and even want to make sure that you're just talking nonsense after drinking, or that you really mean it. Of course, if Meng Yao doesn't want you to confess, you can just say that you said something drunk. She won't hold it against you, right? It won't be so awkward when they meet again. That's a good idea, Taizao. But you need to help me out tomorrow. Jiangwen nodded. Shall we go to Meng Yao's house now? Yes, and bro, don't worry. I'll create a suitable opportunity for you tomorrow. Just confess your feelings then. Taizao patted his chest as he promised. Lin Yi wasn't expecting Jiangwen and Taizao to come at this time. Lin Yi frowned as he looked at the two. And bro, what brings you here at this time? Shu's not feeling well. She's resting upstairs. Lin Yi didn't know if Jiangwen was here for Meng Yao or for him, so he decided to ask. Haha, we're here for Shu. Since she's sick, then we have to pay her a visit. Jiangwen smiled. Taizao, go buy some fruits. Okay, and bros. Taizao picked up the car keys and left, leaving Jiangwen standing in front of the villa. Wait a minute, I'll go ask Yao Yao and Shu. Lin Yi was just pretending to be polite to Jiangwen, since he wanted to use him to deal with Pin Liang. He didn't care too much about him, and just left him at the door. Meng Yao was already in the living room when Lin Yi got back to the villa, evidently having heard the doorbell as well. Lin Yi, who's here? Is it Faubert? No. It's Jiangwen and Taizao. I don't know what they're up to. Lin Yi pointed at the door behind him. Brother Jiangwen? Why is he here again? Meng Yao's tone was courteous, but it was clear that she didn't want Jiangwen to be a guest at her house. How would I know? But they said they were looking for Shu. Lin Yi shrugged. Yao Yao, let them in. My brother will be back tomorrow. They're probably here because of this, right? Yushu came downstairs as well. She was behind Meng Yao, standing by the stairs. I thought it was Faubert bringing food. I'm so hungry. I want to eat to my heart's content. Hungry? You're hungry again? You want to eat to your heart's content again? Lin Yi was speechless. She just threw up, and now she was hungry again? Eat to her heart's content again. He didn't know what this Yushu was made of. Did she forget the pain after the wound healed? Yeah, my stomach's so empty, I'm growling. Yushu rubbed her stomach as she complained. I puked out too much earlier. It'd be better if I didn't puke out so much. Why don't you eat what you threw up? Meng Yao glared at Yushu, finding the topic disgusting. Oh, that's enough for the two of us. Yushu nodded. Meng Yao was about to throw up. She was quite hungry, but now she had no appetite at all. Lin Yi went to open the door, and Jiangwen walked in with a smile on his face. He wasn't overly enthusiastic when he saw Meng Yao, only nodding to her. Yao Yao, I heard that Shu's sick? I'm not sick. Yao Yao just set me up. Yushu was interrupted by Meng Yao. She just has a stomach flu, it's nothing. She'll be fine after throwing up. Meng Yao wouldn't let Yushu talk nonsense. Oh, I see. Jiang Wen could tell from Meng Yao's tone that she didn't want to talk about it anymore. Shu, Tian Bro will be back tomorrow. Tai Zhao and I will hold a feast to welcome him. You should come too. Your brother hasn't seen you for a long time, right?
Okay.
Yushu agreed without thinking too much. After all, she hadn't seen her brother for a long time. There was no reason not to go. Meng Yao was a little annoyed. Why did Yushu agree just like that? If she went, how could she not go? Didn't Jiang Wen invite Chen Yutian or him? Only Jiang Wen himself would know the answer. Yao Yao, you're coming too? Jiang Wen smiled. Lin Yi, are you free tomorrow? Meng Yao didn't answer Jiang Wen's question. She turned to Lin Yi and said, You come with us. Okay. Lin Yi replied faintly. Jiang Wen wasn't too happy about Lin Yi going with him, but Meng Yao being able to go was already good enough. He couldn't afford to cause more trouble. If he didn't let Lin Yi go, Meng Yao would be pissed off and refuse to go. That wouldn't be fun. He smiled. Haha, Yao Yao, I was going to invite Lin Yi bro even if you didn't ask. We're good friends. Is there anything else? Meng Yao looked at Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen knew that Meng Yao was asking him to leave, but he didn't want to. He still wanted to stay a little longer. Let's wait for Tai Zhao. He went to buy fruits and Shu's sick. As her brother, we can't come empty-handed, can we? Oh, tell him to buy some more then. I'm starving. Yushu ordered after hearing that Tai Zhao was going out to buy food. Okay, I'll call him now. Jiang Wen's eyes brightened. He finally had a reason to stay a little longer. Afraid that Meng Yao would interfere, Jiang Wen quickly took out his phone and dialed Tai Zhao's number. Tai Zhao, Shu's hungry. Go buy some fruits and some dinner too. Go to a few more places and buy a few more dishes, don't go too little. Jiang Wen's hint was very clear. As long as Tai Zhao wasn't an idiot, he'd know what he meant. He wanted Tai Zhao to stay a little longer and not come back immediately. Chapter 620. Chapter 620. Chu Pingzhan's phone, no rush, no rush. We can't rush even if there's a traffic jam, right? Safety first. Jiang Wen smiled faintly, praising Tai Zhao's teamwork. Meng Yao glared at Yushu, annoyed at her for being a busybody. Couldn't she have asked Lin Yi to cook for her if she wanted to eat? What was she supposed to ask Tai Zhao to buy? Now that this guy was here and not leaving, how annoying was he? Yushu knew that she was in trouble, and she pouted. But she had an idea. She looked at the time. Jiang Wen only had 7 minutes left to flirt with Yao Yao. Jiang Wen kept on talking in front of Meng Yao, and Meng Yao kept on talking to him. Lin Yi, naturally, didn't feel like staying here any longer, and went back to his room. Jiang Wen wouldn't be able to do anything in the villa, and Lin Yi didn't have to keep an eye on him. Oh, it's time for the cartoon. Today's Saturday, the theatrical version of Happy Goat and Big Big Wolf. Yushu jumped up from the sofa and turned on the TV, changing the channel with the remote. As expected, the familiar music of Happy Goat and Big Big Wolf came from the TV. Jiang Wen had long since gotten used to Yushu's crazy personality. Yushu was pretty, but who could resist a personality like that? Luckily, the one he liked was Meng Yao. Otherwise, he'd be screwed if he got together with Yushu. Jiang Wen ignored Yushu and kept on talking to Meng Yao. Hey, stop talking. I can't hear you. Yushu waved her hand at Jiang Wen impatiently. Why are you so rude? They're watching TV. Jiang Wen was about to explode. What did his words have to do with Yushu? But he couldn't afford to piss Yushu off, so he didn't dare talk back. First of all, Yushu was from House Chen, a noble house's descendant. Even if he had the backing of the Firewolf Gang, he couldn't represent the Firewolf Gang. He also didn't have the guts to go against the Chen family. Secondly, Yushu was still Meng Yao's best friend even if the Firewolves were to support him. If he pissed her off, he'd never be able to pursue Meng Yao in the future. Yao Yao, let's talk over there? Jiang Wen held in his breath, still maintaining the smile on his face as he pointed at the restaurant. I want to watch the cartoon too. I haven't seen this episode yet. Meng Yao pointed at the TV. Watch it with us.
Wah.
Jiang Wen almost jumped up from his seat.
How old was he?
Watching cartoons. If word of this got out, wouldn't he be laughed at to death? This was the first time Meng Yao invited him to do something with her. Watching TV was like watching a movie, wasn't it? He'd just take it as Meng Yao asking him to watch a movie. With that thought, Jiang Wen calmed down. Sure, let's watch it together then. Watching cartoons, of course, meant that he couldn't talk. Jiang Wen hadn't watched the series before, and he couldn't focus on it at all. He could only sit there and watch. He felt that time was getting too long. Why wasn't this Taizao back yet? He'd be able to get out of this situation if he came back. What a blunder. If he knew that Yushu wanted to watch cartoons, he wouldn't have stayed here. He might as well just leave. Jiang Wen couldn't take it anymore and went outside to call Taizao. Where are you? Why aren't you back yet? Buying food for a year?
Ah.
And bro, didn't you tell me to go back later? Taizao had parked his car by the roadside, leisurely smoking as he enjoyed the night view. Jiang Wen's shout startled him. All right, hurry up and come back. Hurry up, Jiang Wen said, a little troubled. See Yao Yao? I'm good, aren't I? Yushu said proudly. Haha, at least you're smart. Otherwise, I'd be annoyed to death by him. Meng Yao felt that her best friend wasn't stupid at all. In fact, she was very smart. It was just that her way of expressing herself was a little different. Taizao came back soon with a bunch of fruits and bento. Yushu invited Jiang Wen to watch TV and eat together, but Jiang Wen shamelessly rejected her. He couldn't take it anymore. What was the point of staying here if he couldn't talk to Meng Yao? Go get Lin Yi and tell him to eat with us. Meng Yao opened the bento Taizao bought and placed it on the coffee table after Jiang Wen and Taizao left. Taizao had bought a total of 5 bento boxes, all of them quite high quality. It shouldn't be cheap, and he and Jiang Wen were included as well. Of course, they wouldn't be able to eat it. Oh. Yushu was salivating as she looked at the bento on the coffee table. She didn't even want to stand up. She wanted to eat it right away. Meng Yao saw that Yushu wasn't reacting and sighed helplessly. She got up and called Lin Yi, knocking on Lin Yi's door twice. Lin Yi, come eat. Meng Yao didn't know why she had to call Lin Yi. Perhaps it was because he cooked for her and Shu every day, and she couldn't just call him when she was eating? That would be too ungrateful. They're gone. Lin Yi was lying on the bed, texting Tang Yin, telling her that he'd contacted Air Gooden and that the medicine would be here soon. He told her not to worry about Juqing's injuries. Let's go. Taizao bought some bento. Do you want some? Meng Yao pointed at the bento on the coffee table. Yeah. We don't have to prepare dinner tonight anyway. Lin Yi walked out with Meng Yao. Faubert usually wouldn't bring food over on Saturdays, so Lin Yi had to think of ways to solve the problem. When Lin Yi sat on the sofa, Yushu was almost done with the bento box. She didn't look like she was going to stop. Don't eat too much, or you'll die from overeating, Lin Yi reminded. No more. Meng Yao was worried that Yushu would get into trouble again. She put away the 2 bento boxes, afraid that Yushu would eat them too. Oh, okay. Yushu felt wronged, but she didn't dare disobey. She didn't want to overeat again. After dinner, Lin Yi cleaned up the bento boxes and put the remaining 2 in the fridge. He'd heat them up for breakfast tomorrow. After he was done, he got a call from Pengzhan. Uncle Chu? Lin Yi picked up. What's up? Yeah, 2 things. Pengzhan said. Yao Yao isn't with you, is she? Is it convenient to talk? Chapter 6:21. I have shield. Brolin Yi glanced at Meng Yao and Yushu, who were watching cartoons in the living room. He lowered his voice and said, They're watching cartoons in the living room. If there's anything, just tell me, Uncle Chu. Alright, the first thing is about you. Pengzhan didn't beat around the bush and said, Sihua came to me today and asked me about your injury and background. I didn't say anything, but I don't know if he guessed anything from my vague words. I don't think Zhao Qibing will let this go so easily. He's definitely going to do something to you. You have to be prepared. Ask about me? Lin Yi smiled. It's nothing.
Just ask then.
If they want to do something to me, they can come to me. Lin Yi was a little wary of the people around Zhao Qibing, but he wasn't afraid of them. Although he was injured quite badly from the fight, he had the Jade training space. Lin Yi didn't believe that Uncle Zhu had something like that. Even if he used a large amount of treasures, he wouldn't be able to recover without at least a year and a half according to what Jiao Lao said. So Lin Yi wasn't afraid of Zhao Qibing's revenge at all. Send as many masters as you want. I'll run after we're both injured. I'll run back, and when I've recovered the next day, I'll continue to fight with the masters around you. I don't believe that you have an endless supply of masters around you. Let's see if you can still be happy when all your masters are lying on the bed. With the Jade Space, as long as Lin Yi didn't meet a particularly strong master, Lin Yi would have nothing to fear. No matter what, you still have to be careful. Peng Zhan knew that Lin Yi had a certain level of confidence after hearing his words. He wasn't as worried as before. I don't want anything to happen to you. Don't worry, Uncle Chu. If I can't win, I'll run. Lin Yi didn't think that running away was embarrassing at all. What was there to be embarrassed about? If he couldn't win, then he would be the one with the problem. Then I'm relieved. Peng Zhan nodded and continued. Secondly, I want you to help me find out why Yao Yao went to that empty Shuangyan with Zhong Pingliang. I was in a hurry, so I didn't ask about it. I wanted to ask about it yesterday, but something happened to you yesterday, so I didn't mention those unhappy things again. So I asked you to help me ask about it. I really don't know about this matter. Lin Yi said, I'll find time to ask about it and then call you. There's no rush. There's no need to ask specifically. We'll talk about it when we have the chance. Peng Zhan didn't want to interfere with his daughter's private life too much. She was a grown-up after all, and she wasn't that gullible. There had to be a reason why she followed Pinliang up the mountain. All right, I'll find a chance to ask her. Lin Yi nodded, feeling that it wasn't a good idea to ask Meng Yao about this. Yu Tian didn't give up and called Ling Shan after he got out of the toll booth. But Ling Shan's tone was cold. Chen Yu Tian? You're back? What's up? Ling Shan had saved this number in her phone yesterday, but to Yu Tian, it was only a friendship. Nothing. I just wanted to tell you that I'm back. Yu Tian always felt pressured in front of Ling Shan. Ling Shan's dominance made him uncomfortable, but he couldn't bring himself to resist. Oh, I understand, Ling Shan said faintly. Is there anything else? If not, I'm hanging up. You really don't have time tonight? Yu Tian asked after some hesitation. No, I'm busy.
Bye.
Ling Shan didn't wait for Yu Tian to reply and hung up the phone. Yu Tian laughed at himself and called Zhang Wen. 2, where are you? Tai Zhao and I are at Starlight Hotel, VIP room number 1 on the 5th floor. Shu and Yao Yao will be here tonight. Zhang Wen said with a smile. All right, I'll be there in a bit. Yu Tian sighed. Zhang Wen was using him as an excuse to get close to Meng Yao. How could Yu Tian not know about this? But it seemed like his sister didn't have many pursuers. Yu Tian used to be afraid that people would harass his sister and affect her life, but she was 18 now. She was about to go to university. Wasn't it weird that no one was pursuing her? But thinking about his sister's personality, Yu Tian sweated. With that personality of hers, there weren't many men who could get along with her, right? She was either a prank, or she was just an idiot. That Wu Shaoqian had only been fooled by Yushu's appearance back then. If he'd known Yushu's personality, he wouldn't have dared to make a move so easily. If he brought Yushu home, it would be fine if she liked him, but if she didn't, he would be toyed with to death. After some thought, Chen Yutian called Yushu. Shu, where are you? Do you miss your brother? Yutian sighed. He went to the border for more than a year and never returned to Songzhan. He didn't know how his sister was doing. When he was in Songzhan, he was his sister's guardian angel. He didn't know if Yushu would rely on him like before. Oh, Yao Yao and I are about to leave. Yushu received a call from her brother. I missed you before, but not anymore. I have Shield Bro. I don't need to miss you anymore. Shield Bro? Yutian froze. Who's Shield Bro? Oh, Yao Yao's follower and bodyguard. Yushu hated her brother for going to the special training for a woman. He even went to the border to train. She was still holding a grudge against Yutian's attitude. She wouldn't let go of this opportunity to piss him off. What was so good about that fox Lingshan? She made her brother fall head over heels for her, and she still didn't dump him. Yushu felt embarrassed. Look at how powerful Shield Bro was. He had Lingshan in his palm. She wouldn't dare to go west if he told her to go east. So, in comparison, Shield Bro was still stronger.
Ah?
Chun Yutian gritted his teeth in anger. Where did this random follower come from and steal his limelight? His sister had always looked up to him, and whenever she was in trouble, she would think of him first. How did it become Shield Bro? Chapter 6:22. Between Yao Yao and Tang Yun, who was prettier? In fact, Yushu was proud of Yutian in the past, but ever since Yutian started going after Lingshan, Yushu wasn't too happy about it. Especially when Lingshan ignored her brother, saying that she would only accept him if he defeated her. Wasn't she just making things difficult for him? Her brother was an idiot, saying that Yushu was an idiot, and Yushu thought that he was even more of an idiot. Was it worth it for a woman? After a year of special training, 2 years of experience, it seemed like he was still no match for that fox Lingshan. Otherwise, her brother would have gotten her already, and wouldn't be so low profile. It was a dinner party, a formal one at that. Yushu was dressed in a cute Lolita style, while Mengyao was more on the innocent side. She looked a little older than Yushu, but Mengyao looked a little older than Yushu. "Shu, are you ready? We're leaving." Mengyao knocked on the door of the dressing room. "Oh, wait, I'll be ready soon." It was rare for Yushu to dress up formally, and it was only because her brother was back that she dressed up properly. Although she seemed cold towards her brother's return, she really missed her brother. After all, they hadn't seen each other for more than a year, not even for Chinese New Year.
Oh.
Mengyao wasn't in a rush. Since she was attending Jiang Wen's banquet, she didn't have a good sense of time. It didn't matter if it was earlier or later. Lin Yi took Mengyao's Audi S5 out of the garage and parked it in front of the villa, waiting for Yushu and Mengyao. His phone rang, and Lin Yi thought that it was Jiang Wen calling to rush him. Jiang Wen didn't dare rush Mengyao, but he could call Lin Yi to ask about their departure. However, Lin Yi was surprised when he looked at the caller ID. It was Lingshan. "Hello? Miss Braindead. What's up?" Instinctively, Lin Yi knew that Lingshan wasn't looking for him for anything good, so his tone wasn't polite at all. Lingshan's face froze. It had been a long time since she'd heard the nickname Miss Braindead, and she'd almost forgotten that she was Miss Braindead. However, she wasn't annoyed. She took a deep breath and tried to sound cute. "Yeah, Miss Braindead has something to ask of you."
Huh? What is it?
Lin Yi wanted to laugh every time Lingshan called herself that. Was this considered flirting between lovers? Ever since the kidney trafficking organization's transit point was destroyed, we haven't found any other clues. Lingshan said helplessly. But the criminal organization hasn't stopped their footsteps. They've shifted their target to the villages near the city. In the past week, there have been 2 cases of kidney removal at Kayazi village in the east and Shinbu village in the west. My boss has given me an order to solve the case in 2 weeks, or I'll be sent home. "Oh, I see." Lin Yi replied faintly. "Hey, you won't let Miss Braindead lose her job, will you? Take pity on her and think of a way to help her get through this?" Lingshan felt like her teeth were going to fall off from the sourness, but she said it so naturally, without any hesitation at all. Since when did she feel that it was natural for her to lower her voice in front of Lin Yi? "What can I do?" Lin Yi heard Lingshan's pitiful words, but he really couldn't do anything. He couldn't just leave Mengyao and Yushu to help her solve a case, could he? The miss would be furious again. "You won't leave her to die, will you?" Lingshan was really starting to panic. She'd just been scolded by her leader today, and if she couldn't solve the case in 2 weeks, she wouldn't lose her job like she said, but she wouldn't have the face to be the captain anymore. "I'll keep an eye out for you." Lin Yi agreed after some hesitation. Lingshan's attitude made it hard for Lin Yi to reject her. Whether it was for Huaijuan's sake or his personal relationship with Lingshan, Lin Yi couldn't just ignore her. Okay. Call me if you have any news. Miss Braindead's phone is on 24/7. Lingshan was very happy when she heard Lin Yi's answer. Lin Yi didn't say anything and hung up the phone with a faint smile. Lingshan, on the other hand, had an indescribable feeling welling up in her heart. Was she still the same person she used to be? Why did she have to lower her voice to Lin Yi? Where was the arrogant and strong Lingshan from before? If her friends knew that she was flirting with a man and calling herself Miss Brain Dead, wouldn't they laugh their heads off? No, she couldn't let anyone know about this. The reason why Lin Yi promised Ling Shan to keep an eye out for her was because Lin Yi had found a breakthrough. That was Jiang Wen. He just told Jiang Wen that he was going to take care of Pin Liang, and the next day, Pin Liang's kidney was cut off. It was fine if he was beaten up, but a kidney was cut off. This was a sensitive issue. Although Fabai didn't call the police, Lin Yi knew about it. Even if Pin Liang's kidney wasn't cut off by Jiang Wen, he must have a close relationship with Jiang Wen. Jiang Wen must have been in contact with the kidney trafficking organization. Because of this, Lin Yi agreed to Ling Shan's request. Although Ling Shan made it sound pitiful, Lin Yi didn't like to do things he wasn't confident in. Since he was having dinner with Jiang Wen today, Lin Yi could ask Jiang Wen about his relationship with the kidney trafficking organization. Not long after hanging up, Meng Yao and Yushu came out of the house. When the two girls appeared, Lin Yi was stunned. The two girls were already very beautiful without dressing up. Today, they were going out for dinner and dressed up. Lin Yi couldn't help but be stunned.
What are you looking at?
Meng Yao saw that Lin Yi was staring at her. Although she scolded Lin Yi, she was secretly happy. He finally knew that there were two pretty girls at home. Ha! Lin Yi smiled and retracted his gaze. Yao Yao sis is prettier than Tang Yun, right? Yushu asked with a smile. Chapter 6:23. A blunder caused by a misunderstanding, however. The Miss and Tang Yun were both very pretty. If one had to say who was prettier, it could only be said that they each had their own merits. The Miss today would naturally be prettier than Tang Yun without makeup.
There was no doubt about that.
Lin Yi said, she's prettier than Tang Yun after makeup. Lin Yi's words didn't offend anyone. Although he was praising Meng Yao, he also said that Meng Yao was only better after makeup. Before makeup, they were about the same. However, Miss Chu had automatically ignored the words makeup queen. She felt a little smug as she glanced at Lin Yi. Humph. At least you have good taste. Oh, what about me? Yushu asked, using Meng Yao as the vanguard before bringing herself out. You're about the same as Yao Yao. Lin Yi didn't know how to answer. Oh, am I really that pretty? That's great. I finally met someone who isn't blind.
Oh.
Yushu cried out in surprise and glanced at Meng Yao. Shu, why are you looking at me? Are you saying that I'm blind? Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Yeah, who told you to say that I'm not as pretty as you? Yushu said confidently. Stupid girl, when did I say that? Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Then why did you admit it? Yushu retorted. I didn't admit it. You were the one looking at me. Meng Yao was pissed. Yushu had tricked her. Then why are you feeling guilty? Yushu asked. I'm not feeling guilty, although I did say that my body is more balanced than yours. Meng Yao said angrily. Oh, people with small chests always say that they're balanced. Yushu wasn't happy. You stupid girl, I'll tear your mouth off. Meng Yao went to pull Yushu's face. Shield bro. Yao Yao sis is trying to kill me again. Yushu screamed. Alright, I'm driving. Lin Yi didn't know who to help, so he changed the topic. Right, Yao Yao, why did you go to Mount Shuangyan with Pin Liang? Lin Yi remembered the mission Pingzhan had given him on the phone before, and he decided to take this opportunity to ask about it. That big liar Pin Liang lied to me on purpose. Meng Yao felt hurt when she thought about it. Pin Liang didn't just lie to her IQ, he lied to her feelings as well. Pin Liang didn't mean love with Pin Liang, of course, but the longing for her family. Pin Liang had given Meng Yao hope, only to have it destroyed again and again. If Pin Liang hadn't brought it up, Meng Yao would have kept it as an eternal pain deep in her heart, not letting it out easily. But Pin Liang's release of this sadness gave Meng Yao hope. How could she not be depressed? Every time she thought about it, Meng Yao would cry silently. She wasn't crying because she fell for Pin Liang's trick, but because she missed her mother. She really wanted it. Everyone else had maternal love, but she didn't. Although she was the daughter of Pingzhan Industries and lived a luxurious life, she would rather not have all of this. She wanted a complete family. A happy home where he could have dinner with his parents every night. Lie to you. Lin Yi was driving, so he didn't notice the change in Mingyao's mood. Yeah. Mingyao's heart ached again as she thought of her mother.
Ah.
Yao Yao, don't cry, okay, you're prettier than me, okay? Yushu held Mingyao's hand and comforted her. Yushu would argue with Mengyao about meaningless things sometimes, but she still missed Mengyao a lot. Her attitude changed immediately when she saw Mengyao sad.
Cry?
Linny paused and looked at Mengyao through the rearview mirror. Her eyes were red as if she was about to cry. Yao Yao, what's wrong? Zhong Pingliang lied to Yao Yao, saying that he saw someone who looked very similar to Yao Yao at Mount Shuangyan. Yushu said for Mengyao. Zhong Pingliang made it sound so real and tricked Yao Yao. In the end, Yao Yao and I followed Zhong Pingliang up the mountain and we were locked in the cave. Someone who looked very similar? Lin Yi was even more shocked. The miss wasn't that retarded, was she? It was just someone who looked similar, and she was tricked by Pingliang to see what was going on? Yeah, Yao Yao thought that the person Zhong Pingliang saw was her mother. Yushu nodded and explained. Yushu, on the other hand, was no longer as playful as before. Her mother? Lin Yi couldn't understand. Yao Yao's mother, isn't she dead? Your mother is dead. Mengyao was furious. Not only did Lin Yi not comfort her, but he even cursed her mother to be dead?
Ugh.
Lin Yi scratched his scalp, wondering if he'd misunderstood something. Could it be that Mengyao's mother wasn't dead? Then why would Pingzhan say that Mengyao's mother left them when Mengyao was very young?
Damn.
Lin Yi came back to his senses abruptly. He'd misunderstood this leave. Usually, death could also mean leave, and in this kind of tone and situation, leave basically meant that. However, Pingzhan's leave might be the original meaning of leave. That was, for some reason, Mengyao's mother ran away from home. Lin Yi couldn't help but sweat at the thought. This was a big mistake. He offended the miss for no reason, and it wasn't worth it. However, Lin Yi didn't care about the miss's retaliation. Your mother is the dead one. Lin Yi didn't even know who his mother was, and he didn't know if she was still alive, so Lin Yi didn't feel pressured at all. He had never seen his parents since he was young, and although he did fantasize about his parents when he was young, he had gotten used to it after so many years. He treated old Lin and his master as his family. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Your mother left home, Lin Yi explained embarrassedly.
What kind of attitude is that?
You're still laughing? Is it funny? Are you mocking me because I'm pitiful? Mengyao heard that Lin Yi was laughing, and she got even angrier. This was the weakness that was sealed deep in her heart, and Lin Yi's attitude enraged her. Chapter 6:24. Qin Tiana. Lin Yi's words stunned both Mengyao and Yushu. Lin Yi had never told the miss and Yushu about his background, and they didn't think much about it. Now that Lin Yi told them about it, they realized that Lin Yi had such a tragic background. He was an orphan? Oh my God! How did he survive all these years? He looked like he didn't care about anything, but could it be that he had a sad side that no one noticed? A woman's natural motherly instinct made the miss feel pity for Lin Yi. Yes, she was nothing compared to him. At least she saw her mother, and she had a father who loved her. But what about Lin Yi? He didn't even know who his parents were. Wasn't that even more pitiful? I'm sorry. The miss was someone who could learn from her mistakes. She apologized immediately after hearing Lin Yi's words. I shouldn't have said that. I really didn't know. You're even more pitiful than me. I'm used to it. It's fine. Lin Yi shook his head. Don't fall for it again. If something like this happens, you have to inform your father first. I believe he knows your mother better than you do. And Mengyao nodded, surprisingly not refuting Lin Yi's words. The atmosphere was a little sad as they talked, but the miss's mood recovered a little. She still couldn't be happy, but at least she wouldn't cry anymore. Lin Yi parked the car in the parking lot of the Starlight Hotel, half an hour late. The two girls had stayed at home for a while, and they'd gotten into a car accident on the way. They were stuck in traffic for a while, and that was why they were late. However, none of them looked embarrassed. They got out of the car confidently and walked to the hotel. Lin Yi was just a follower, so it didn't matter to him whether he was late or not. He followed the two into the hotel leisurely. Chen Yutian was already in the room, talking to Jiangwen and Taizao. His face looked normal, but he was extremely unhappy on the inside. One was because of Lingshan's rejection, and the other was because of that shield bro who popped out of nowhere. His sister said that she didn't need him anymore. She had shield bro? Chun Yutian was furious. He only had one sister, and now she was going to be taken away? What shield bro? Shield sis. I'm going to see who this shield bro really is. Wasn't he Mingyao's follower and bodyguard? He wanted to see if this person had the qualifications to be her bodyguard. If he wasn't qualified, then fuck off and let him be shield bro somewhere else. At least this place didn't welcome him. As they were talking, there was a knock on the door. Jiang Wen wanted to open the door and welcome Meng Yao, but Yutian stood up first. He wanted to see who this shield bro was. Come in. Chen Yutian opened the door as he spoke, and Meng Yao and Yushu walked in. Yutian bro. Meng Yao was very polite to Yushu's brother. She greeted him as soon as she entered the room before turning to Jiangwen and Taizao. Jiangwen bro, Taizao bro. Bro. Yushu followed Meng Yao into the room, but Yutian's face darkened. Where's that shield bro? Is he coming with us? Yutian wasn't an impulsive person, but he had no choice but to stand up. His sister was taken away. How could he not be worried? Yushu made it very clear that she had shield bro now, and she didn't need him as her brother anymore. How could Yutian not be troubled? Not angry? Oh, you're looking for shield bro? Yushu didn't seem to notice the tense expression on Yutian's face. He's in the back. Yutian nodded and walked to the door. When Lin Yi came in, he reached out his hand. You're that shield bro, right? Let me introduce myself. I'm Yushu's brother, Yutian. Chun Yutian wanted to embarrass this shield bro. He was already at the early phase of the golden class, and normal people weren't his match. He wanted to let his sister know that her brother was always the strongest. Huh. Lin Yi looked at Yutian with a weird expression, but he still reached out his hand. Huh. Yutian's eyes widened as he stared at Lin Yi. He couldn't believe his eyes. He pointed at Lin Yi in excitement. You teach. Let me introduce myself. I'm the shield bro you mentioned. Lin Yi interrupted Yutian with a smile. Yao Yao and Shu's follower. Ah? Yutian was even more shocked. He was Meng Yao and his sister's follower? What was going on? How did he become their follower? Wasn't Meng Yao and his sister too important? They actually invited him to be their follower? But looking at Lin Yi's actions, Yutian understood that Lin Yi didn't want him to reveal his identity. He introduced himself to Yutian as Meng Yao and Yushu's follower. Yutian found it hard to believe, but since Lin Yi didn't want to reveal his identity, he wouldn't say it. He held onto Lin Yi's hand excitedly. Hello, hello. I'm Yutian, Yushu's brother, hee ha. Jiang Wen and Taizao frowned. What was wrong with this Yutian? Before Lin Yi came, he said that he wanted to teach this Lin Yi a lesson for stealing his sister's place. Why was he like this now? Yushu wasn't afraid of her brother bullying Lin Yi. Instead, she wanted her brother to suffer in front of Lin Yi. She stopped thinking about Lingshan, but she didn't expect her brother to act like this. As if he regretted not meeting Lin Yi earlier? Since you're Yushu's brother, I'll call you Yutian bro. Lin Yi was younger than Yutian, so calling him Yutian bro wasn't a bad thing. Yutian, on the other hand, was flattered. He was about to reject when he saw Lin Yi's sharp eyes. He quickly nodded. Okay, I'll call you Lil Bro then. Meng Yao and Yushu widened their eyes. Was this Yutian someone who was easy to talk to? Even if Lin Yi was their follower and bodyguard, Yutian didn't have to thank Lin Yi for protecting them every day, did he? The two looked at each other and saw confusion in each other's eyes. Chapter 6:25. Drowning his sorrows in wine even if he was defeated by Lingshan today, and he was pissed off by Shield Bro, and he was surprised when he saw Lin Yi, Yutian felt that he couldn't stay calm. It seemed like his years of training weren't enough. On the other hand, Lin Yi was still expressionless, as if he didn't know him. Yutian couldn't help but sigh. The gap between them was something he would never be able to catch up to. Yushu was also curious about her brother's attitude towards Lin Yi. Why didn't he seem to be hostile towards Lin Yi? Was it because Shield Bro was too weak that her brother couldn't bring himself to be hostile towards him? Or was it because he was too strong that her brother didn't dare to be hostile towards him? After they sat down, Jiang Wen told the waiters to start serving the dishes and ordered quite a lot of red wine. Since the food was prepared beforehand, it didn't take much time for Meng Yao and the others to arrive and serve the food on the table. Yutian bro, I didn't think that you're a major now. We've all grown up. As the host today, Jiang Wen naturally raised his glass first. In the blink of an eye, we're about to start our own families. I miss those carefree days. Haha, people have to grow up eventually. Yutian raised his glass as well, but he felt bitter in his heart. If it wasn't for Ling Shan, he wouldn't have walked the path of righteousness, right? Would he still be as spoiled as before? Yutian could never forget Ling Shan's look of disdain. That hatred towards spoiled young masters came from the bottom of her heart. This was also the reason why Yutian pulled himself together. However, Yutian still couldn't surpass Ling Shan. No matter how hard he tried, he started too late. He wasn't as good as Ling Shan, and naturally, he couldn't catch up no matter how hard he tried. What surprised Lin Yi was that Meng Yao raised her glass as well and drank it all in one gulp. The miss didn't like Jiang Wen at all, right? Why would she drink all the red wine in the glass under his suggestion? Lin Yi glanced at Meng Yao in surprise, only to see that her expression was very lonely. Lin Yi was slightly stunned, but he immediately understood that the eldest miss was still thinking about her mother and had not recovered from her emotional state. At this moment, she was just drowning her sorrows in alcohol. Lin Yi had gotten over his parents' issues a long time ago, but Meng Yao wasn't the same way. She had seen her mother when she was young, and Lin Yi had never seen his parents before. It was a completely different feeling, and so Meng Yao missed them and felt melancholy. She had always hidden these emotions in her heart, but Pin Liang had pulled them out, and she had no way to vent them. It was an oppressive feeling, and if she couldn't release it, she'd be in a bad mood. Drinking to drown her sorrows wasn't a bad idea. In fact, that was exactly what Meng Yao was thinking. She wouldn't drink if she were to eat with Jiang Wen alone. Who knew what Jiang Wen would do if she got drunk? But now that Lin Yi was beside her, Meng Yao let down her guard. She didn't believe that Lin Yi wouldn't care about her if she got drunk. She had this shield anyway, it'd be a waste if she didn't use it. Jiang Wen saw Meng Yao drink all the wine in one gulp, and a look of surprise flashed across his eyes, but it was quickly replaced by excitement. He was afraid that Meng Yao wouldn't give him face and not drink. If that happened, then he wouldn't be able to drink too much. If he didn't drink enough, then he wouldn't be able to confess after drinking too much. He and Taizao had thought of a lot of excuses to persuade Meng Yao to drink, but it seemed like they were useless now. Jiang Wen was still troubled. What was wrong with Meng Yao today? Why wasn't she playing by the rules? He'd wasted so many brain cells thinking of excuses, and now it was all wasted. Yao Yao, why did you drink so much? Yushu noticed that something was wrong as well. Nothing. I just wanted to drink, Meng Yao said faintly, not admitting the unhappiness in her heart. Oh, then can I drink as well? Yushu bit her lips, looking at the red wine in her glass with greedy eyes. She didn't drink normally because she didn't have much contact with things like this at home. Meng Yao didn't let her drink normally, and she'd thought about it a couple of times, but Meng Yao always rejected her. She didn't think that Meng Yao would take the initiative to drink today. Sure, but not too much. Meng Yao nodded after some hesitation. Oh. Yushu picked up her glass of red wine. She didn't drink when they raised their glasses earlier, and now that no one raised their glasses, she started enjoying the wine. Fortunately, everyone here was used to Yushu's personality, and no one said anything. It's sweet and sour, it looks pretty good. Yushu took a sip and drank the whole glass in one gulp. It wasn't a top-grade red wine, but it was Jiang Wen's treat, and it wouldn't be cheap. Drink more if it tastes good. Jiang Wen was afraid that they wouldn't drink, so he filled his glass and raised it again. Cheers, Shu. Yao Yao, I wish you two eternal beauty and youth. Yushu didn't give Jiang Wen any face at all. She didn't even wait for him to finish before pouring another glass. Yao Yao, this is better than fruit juice. But you can't drink too much. You'll get drunk, Meng Yao said, but she really wanted to get drunk. She'd be able to forget the sadness in her heart, and when she woke up, she'd be back to her strong self. What's this? Yushu asked as she took the bottle from Lin Yi after another drink. I don't know, but it's drinkable. Mengyao didn't drink much, so how would she know? Even if she came from a rich family, she was still a 12th grader. Pengzhan wouldn't allow her to drink as she pleased. Chapter 626. More bottles? Haha, 09 Lafite tastes pretty much the same as a 82 Lafite, and so it's one of the best-selling years in the market. The price is fair, and the taste is pure. Taizao added. Oh, looks like Jiangwen bro's not bad, treating us to a world-famous wine. Yushu nodded and turned to Mengyao happily. Right, Yao Yao sis? Jiangwen felt really good after hearing Yushu's words. Yushu. Oh, Yushu, you've never done anything good for me all these years, and now you're finally saying something fair for me. You're too awesome. Haha, it's nothing. As long as Yao Yao and Shu are happy, a few bottles are nothing. Jiangwen said faintly, with a wave of his hand. Yeah, but what does that 82 Lafite taste like? Yao Yao sis, do you want some? Yushu turned to Mengyao. Mengyao was feeling a little sad at first, but Yushu's words made her want to laugh. So this was the girl's goal. She wanted to try another 82 Lafite. Jiangwen's face froze. He didn't expect Yushu to say that. Wasn't this a trap? 82 Lafite? The market price of that wine was over 150,000, and in this Starlight Hotel, it was sold for 300,000. Jiangwen's kidneys were hurting. Jiangwen bro, Yao Yao wants to try 82 Lafite too. We haven't tried it yet. Can you get us a few bottles? Yushu had used this trick on Pinliang countless times, and it was a piece of cake for her. A few bottles? My kidneys. Jiangwen almost fainted on the spot. 300,000 a bottle. One bottle was equivalent to one kidney, and some kidneys couldn't even be bought at this price. Did this Miss Chen really think she was a millionaire? Did she think it was easy to earn money? The police were pressuring him, and his business was decreasing. He had no choice, and he sold his kidneys all the way to the countryside. He couldn't even get 1 or 2 kidneys a week, and now he was eating a couple of kidneys in one meal? He was so pissed that he wanted to curse. He glared at Taizao. What the hell was wrong with your mouth? If you don't speak, will people think you're mute? How was Yushu supposed to know about 82 Lafite if you didn't mention 82 Lafite? But he couldn't lose his temper on the spot. That would make him look like a coward. How was he going to pursue Mengyao then? Especially since Yushu said that Mengyao wanted to drink as well. How could he say no? Waiter, 2 bottles of 1982 Lafite. Jiangwen endured the pain in his heart and ordered 2 bottles. 2 bottles aren't enough, right? Yao Yao and I have a bottle each. What do you guys want? Yushu took the 2 bottles of 82 Lafite all for herself. That's enough. We don't drink that, we used to drink it all the time. You two just have a taste. Jiangwen wanted to cry. 2 bottles wasn't enough? Do you want me to sell my kidney? Housen was rich, but the 2 brothers were in charge of their own businesses. Other than the money they had to give to the house and the firewolves, they didn't have much left. A meal that cost tens of thousands became hundreds of thousands. This was a huge blow to Jiangwen's finances. Chun Yutian thought to himself that his sister was still as cruel as ever. It wasn't something a normal person could handle. But the weird thing was, how did he become Mengyao and his sister's follower? What was going on? With his strength, he could protect any big shot, but why did he have to protect 2 little girls? But Lin Yi clearly didn't allow him to reveal his identity, so Yutian didn't dare to ask. But none of this could stop the passion in Yutian's heart. He admired Lin Yi. One could say that if it wasn't for Lin Yi, he wouldn't have the strength he had today. 2 bottles of 82 Lafite were placed on the table. Lin Yi glanced at the seal and label casually. It was the real deal. Although there were a lot of counterfeit 1982 Lafite in the market, the Starlight Hotel should not sell fake goods with its specifications and strength. After all, the price of the genuine goods was not cheap. It was 1 to 2 times the price of the normal channels. Yao Yao sis, let's drink 1 bottle first. Can we bring the other one back? Yushu felt that it was better to bring it home than to drink here. Shield Bro could cook some dishes, and the three of them could have a candlelight dinner together. How romantic would that be? Up to you. Whatever Meng Yao drank was the same. She just wanted to vent, to drown her sorrows with alcohol. She wanted to let the sadness in her heart dissipate along with the alcohol. Jiang Wen almost jumped up from his chair after hearing Yushu's words. You want to bring it back? Why didn't you say so earlier? Why did you buy it in the hotel? You could go to the store tomorrow and buy one bottle at a discount of 150,000. It was half a kidney. But Jiang Wen couldn't say this out loud. It would only make him lose more face. He could only endure it. His main mission today was to get everyone drunk and then confess his love. Jiang Wen could only put other thoughts aside. If his confession was successful today, then these 100,000 would be worth it. And so Jiang Wen started drinking as well. In order to make it seem real, he didn't purposely control his alcohol capacity. His alcohol capacity was quite high, and red wine wouldn't get him too drunk. Jiang Wen's anger lessened a little as he watched Taizao raise his glass for all sorts of reasons. This guy was smart enough to help him drink. Yuqian was very restrained today. Because of Lin Yi's presence, he couldn't let himself go at all. He glanced at Lin Yi from the corner of his eyes, but Lin Yi was as calm as ever. He just sat there, looking straight ahead, and not saying a word. But Chun Yutian still felt an invisible pressure suffocating him. Jiang Wen and Taizao hadn't seen Yutian for a long time, so they didn't think much of it. They thought that Yutian's personality changed after he joined the army. Jiang Wen's main goal was to treat Meng Yao and then confess his love after drinking. So what Yutian was like had nothing to do with him. It was just an excuse. The four young masters of Songshan were no longer the four young masters of Songshan. Their relationship wasn't as close as they thought. His phone rang, and Jiang Wen frowned. He took out his phone and looked at the caller ID. It was his follower, the tattooed man, calling. He hesitated before picking up the phone. What's up? I'm having dinner. Chapter 6:27. Tipping off. Wait. Jiang Wen couldn't even tell Taizao what he'd done, so he couldn't say it in the room. He stood up and said to the people in the room, I'm going to take a call. Everyone drink first. With that, he got up and left the room. Lin Yi's hearing was amazing, but he couldn't hear what Jiang Wen was saying. He could only vaguely make out the word police. He'd been paying attention to Jiang Wen in the first place, and his instincts told him that there was something wrong with this call. After Jiang Wen left, Lin Yi stood up as well. I'm going to the washroom. Taizao didn't know that Jiang Wen's phone was behind his back, and he thought that Jiang Wen was trying to maintain his gentlemanly image in front of Meng Yao because it was impolite to make a call in the room. He didn't even look at Lin Yi when he left the room. As far as he was concerned, Lin Yi was just a small bodyguard, not worth mentioning. He was only being polite to Lin Yi so that he could help Jiang Wen pursue Meng Yao. Lin Yi broke Master Bing's legs and even tore down Master Bing's skyscraper. Taizao was there with Jiang Wen at Master Bing's completion ceremony, and he couldn't believe it. How is Lin Yi still alive? After offending Master Bing, would he still be able to leisurely eat with Meng Yao and Yushu? Didn't Master Bing take revenge? But as weird as it was, Jiang Wen only smiled faintly when he told Taizao about it, not explaining anything. Taizao didn't know, but Jiang Wen did. Sihua had revealed that 2 of his golden class masters had died under Lin Yi's hands. Lin Yi wasn't a normal person, was he? If he were just a normal bodyguard, why would Jiang Wen pay him back? He'd suffered a few times in Jiang Wen's hands, and he'd still call him brother? Was there something wrong with his head? Jiang Wen's bodyguards weren't there yet, and he wouldn't mess with Lin Yi for no reason. As for why Master Bing didn't make a move, perhaps he was afraid? After all, Lin Yi and Sihua were enemies that couldn't be resolved. Of course, this had nothing to do with Jiang Wen. All he cared about was the family business and whether or not he could get Meng Yao. Nothing else mattered to him. After leaving the room, Jiang Wen walked to the end of the hallway, step by step, until there was no one around before continuing the call. Although he was a little drunk, he was still very cautious. There were some things that he absolutely could not let others know. He regretted cutting out one of Piliang's kidneys. Of course, He didn't regret offending Master Bing and Sihua because of Pinliang. What he regretted was that he shouldn't have cut off Pinliang's kidney. Crippling him, or even crushing his balls, was better than cutting off a kidney. Wouldn't that expose him easily? Fortunately, Fabai didn't call the police, and Sihua had a working relationship with him, so this matter was temporarily suppressed. Otherwise, something bad might happen. Why do you have to ask me about such a small matter? Just keep an eye on him. We'll talk about it after a while. Jiang Wen was in a hurry to confess to Meng Yao, so he was a little impatient with the tattooed guy. When bro, the firewolves are rushing us. They're short on supplies. Why don't we spend some money to buy some? Some of those farmers are short on money. If we spend money to buy a kidney, we should be able to get some, the tattooed guy said carefully. By my ass, where's the money? Jiang Wen's heart was bleeding when he thought about how he had spent hundreds of thousands on today's meal. How would he be willing to spend money to buy a kidney? How many kidneys would he have to cut to cover the cost of today's meal? The tattooed guy didn't expect Jiang Wen to be this angry. He didn't dare to say anything. Useless thing, Kyaxi village is no good. Can't you go to another village? I heard that the Bin village in the north is also very poor. Many people are undocumented, and they don't even have a household registration. Can't you go there? Jiang Wen said impatiently. Yes. We'll go to Bin village next. The tattooed guy replied quickly. All right, don't call me if there's nothing important. I still have things to do. Jiang Wen cursed and hung up the phone. He put away his phone and was about to go back to the room. Lin Yi flashed into the washroom at the side. Naturally, Jiang Wen didn't notice that Lin Yi was eavesdropping on his phone behind him. If Lin Yi was right, this Jiang Wen was most likely the mastermind behind the kidney trafficking organization. However, whether or not he sold his kidneys didn't really matter to Lin Yi. As long as it didn't implicate him and his friends, Lin Yi really couldn't be bothered with him. However, since Lingshan came to him for help, and Lin Yi also agreed to help her, so Lin Yi decided to help her this once. Seeing that there was no one in the washroom, Lin Yi dialed Lingshan's number. In fact, this floor was full of luxurious rooms, and every room had its own washroom. Therefore, there weren't many people in the public washroom. Other than the waiters, the customers didn't have to go to the public washroom. Lin Yi. Lingshan received Lin Yi's call. She was inexplicably surprised. Although she didn't know why Lin Yi was looking for her, her instinct told her that it must be something good. There's a Bin village in the north of the city. You can pay attention to it. Lin Yi didn't waste any time and directly told Lingshan the news he heard from Jiang Wen. Bin village? Lingshan was stunned, but she immediately understood what Lin Yi meant. Could it be that it was the next target of the kidney trafficking organization? Lingshan was excited. Although she was curious how Lin Yi got the news, she was smart enough not to ask. Lingshan had seen Lin Yi's uniqueness firsthand, and as an obedient and lovable Miss Braindead, she knew that Lin Yi wouldn't like it if she kept asking him questions all the time. Alright, I still have something to do. I'll hang up first. Lin Yi heard faint footsteps coming from the corridor and quickly said to Lingshan, Thanks, Miss Braindead will treat you to a meal next time. You've really helped her a lot. Lingshan said in a cute and gentle tone. Lin Yi didn't reply and directly hung up. Looking at the end of the call, Lingshan gritted her teeth in anger. Since when did she have to lower herself like this? This Lin Yi didn't even care about her. However, Lingshan was disappointed again. Who asked her to ask Lin Yi for help? Forget it. She'll just treat it as a couple acting coquettishly. Luckily, there's no third person who knows. Lingshan comforted herself. Chapter 628. Reporting to you after leaving the office. Lingshan changed her gentle demeanor and turned to the captains. Turn off your phones and get ready for the meeting. We have an urgent mission tonight. Yes. Captain Song. The captains were troubled by the kidney trafficking case as well. This was the worst case that had happened in Songshan in the past few years, and even the provincial leaders had ordered the criminal investigation team to solve the case as soon as possible in order to minimize the negative effects of the criminal organization. Otherwise, the people in the city would be in a state of panic. Children wouldn't even dare to go to school by themselves. Even the kidney trafficking organization had become a terrifying code name. If a child cried, the parent would use the kidney trafficking organizations to scare the child, and the child would immediately stop crying. The negative effects of the case had reached a certain level, and so the criminal police team had been working overtime to analyze the case and look for clues, but the progress was minimal. After all, this wasn't an individual crime, but a criminal organization with a tight organization and distribution channels. A criminal organization like this was the hardest to find evidence and clues because they would only make their move when they were looking for a kidney source, and after that, they would perform the surgery in their own territory to remove the kidney, and then have their own distribution channels to sell the kidney. During this time, they wouldn't contact a third party, and so there were no traces to follow. Captain Song, you found a clue? Lu Wangli was the closest to Lingshan, and so, when he saw the serious expression on Lingshan's face, his heart skipped a beat. Could it be that there was a breakthrough in the case? Yeah, at least there's a clue, Lingshan said proudly as she looked at everyone's respectful gazes. Lingshan felt that her acting like a spoiled brat wasn't for nothing. There's a clue? Everyone had a vague guess, but they weren't sure. After all, the case was too complicated. They admired and looked forward to Lingshan, but to say that Lingshan had found a clue just by staying in the office for a while was a little too unbelievable. After all, Lingshan was still at her wits' end during the meeting in the afternoon, and was scolded by the leaders. If it wasn't for Huaijuan, the entire criminal investigation team would have been scolded. I received a tip-off and found out the next location of the criminal group. Lingshan wouldn't reveal the exact location before the action. These men were all trained by Huaijuan and could be trusted, but it was better to be safe than sorry. Who knew how long it'd take for them to get their hands on the information? Next, we'll talk about the plan. Let's brainstorm, everyone. If we arrest them directly, it might be the same as last time. They're all small fries and won't be of any help to the case. Everyone nodded after listening and began to express their opinions on the operation plan. Not long after Lin Yi hung up the phone, he heard the footsteps at the door getting closer and closer. The person was obviously coming to the bathroom. Lin Yi was a little puzzled. Who would want to go to the washroom? He thought it was a waiter, but the person who came made Lin Yi slightly stunned. It was Chen Yutian. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. He knew that Chen Yutian was here for him, or else he wouldn't come to the public washroom. Sir, Special Training Team 0197 reporting for duty. Chen Yutian stood up straight and solemnly saluted to Lin Yi. His words were crisp and clean. Ha! Lin Yi smiled faintly but didn't reply. He shrugged. I'm just a follower, not your instructor. Lin Yi didn't return the salute, which meant that Lin Yi had abandoned his previous identity. Chen Yutian's salute was wasted. His expression froze, but he didn't show any disrespect. Sir, after you left, I heard that you went on a special mission. How come? I came back a long time ago. Lin Yi's tone was still indifferent. I've said it before. I'm not your instructor now. I'm Mingyao's follower, and of course, your sister's follower too. She calls me Shield Bro, you can call me that too, or, if you're older than me, you can call me Shield Bro or Lin Yi. Lin Yi. So the instructor's name is Lin Yi. Today was the first time Chen Yutian heard Lin Yi's real name. In the special training team, Lin Yi's code name was Eagle, and all the members called Lin Yi Instructor or Instructor Eagle. Alright, I should go back. Lin Yi didn't want to talk about the past, so he waved his hand and left the washroom. How did the instructor become my sister's follower? Chen Yutian couldn't understand this logic, but he couldn't do anything if Lin Yi didn't want to talk about it. He dreamed of meeting the instructor again one day and asking him to teach him a thing or two, but now that he met Lin Yi didn't want to talk about his previous identity. Chen Yutian couldn't bring up his request. Lin Yi went back to the room, and Jiang Wen continued to drink as usual. He didn't say anything when Lin Yi came in because he didn't expect Lin Yi to tip Lingshan off. Let's play something fun after drinking, shall we? What's the point of just drinking? Tai Zhao said. What do you guys say? He really was a little drunk. He didn't control his alcohol tolerance, so he was in a daze right now. But it was also because of this that it was more realistic and people couldn't see through it. Otherwise, with Mengyao's intelligence, she would definitely see through it and think that it was an act. What do we play? What do you think? Jiangwen looked at Mengyao and Yushu. Do you guys have any suggestions? It's fun, it's fun. I love playing. Yushu agreed with both hands. It was so boring to drink, and she would drag Yao Yao back home if they kept drinking. Mengyao didn't say anything, nor did she refute. To be honest, she didn't want to play with Jiangwen and Taizao, but she remembered that Shu and Lin Yi were here, and she wanted to play, so she decided to play. I think, why don't we play Truth or Dares? Taizao said, and Chen Yutian came back to the room. Taizao heard him and said, Yutian bro, let's play together? We used to play a lot. Ha, do you remember when you chose Dare to kiss Lingshan and got beaten up? Ha ha ha. Chapter 629. How embarrassing. Yutian's face darkened. This was something he'd done when he was younger, something Taizao had planned, making him choose Dare and kiss Lingshan, but he'd gotten beaten up by Lingshan instead. And this Taizao was treating it as a joke. But seeing that Taizao was drunk as well, Yutian didn't do anything out of respect for each other. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was taken aback. Yutian was Lingshan's pursuer? It seemed like Lingshan wasn't that interested in him. Lin Yi wondered how Lingshan would react if he kissed her. There was a high chance that he would swallow the humiliation. What's Truth or Dare? Lin Yi had never heard of this game, nor had he played it before. Haha, it seems like Lin Yi bro hasn't played it before. Taizao, explain the rules. Jiangwen said. Alright, it's very simple. Taizao said. Truth or Dare is a game for many people to play together. You can use rock, paper, scissors, or you can spin a bottle to decide who to ask. Of course, you can also ask them one by one. We have more people, so we don't have to play rock, paper, scissors anymore. Then let's say I'm the questioner, and I can ask a question, and the person has to answer it, and it has to be the truth, no bullshit. If someone sees through the bullshit, they'll have to drink a bottle as punishment. Of course, if the question is sensitive or personal, you can choose not to answer, but you'll have to choose Dare. Dare, on the other hand, is where I ask a question and the person has to do it. There can't be any objections, and they have to do everything. After choosing Dare, you can't go back on your words, unless you choose to drink a bottle as punishment. Oh, then you guys play first.
I'll watch.
Lin Yi didn't care if he participated or not. It didn't have much to do with him anyway. Alright, we'll play first then you watch. Taizao nodded, agreeing to it. As far as he was concerned, it didn't matter if Lin Yi participated or not, as long as Mengyao participated. I'll start with Bro then. Alright, ask away. Jiangwen nodded calmly. As far as he was concerned, Taizao wouldn't ask him those tricky questions, and he couldn't just confess to Mengyao in the first round, either. That would be too abrupt. He'd have to at least wait for a round before he could confess his love to Mengyao. Then I'll start first. The first question won't be so tricky. Humph. Taizao said on purpose. My question is, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? The bravest? Jiangwen thought about it. The bravest thing he'd ever done was cutting out someone else's kidney. Of course, he couldn't say that out loud. He still had to maintain a positive image in front of Mengyao, so he couldn't talk about those fights. He thought about it for a while and realized that there were a lot of bad things he'd done, but none of them were positive. Jiangwen couldn't help but feel annoyed at Taizao's question. What the fuck was this bullshit question? But he had to answer it, or it wouldn't be Truth or Dare anymore. Only Jiangwen himself would know if it was the truth or not. Jiangwen organized his words and remembered some adventure movies he'd seen before. The bravest thing I've ever done is fighting sharks. Oh, I love fighting sharks the most. Yao Yao likes brave people too. Yushu clapped her hands and cheered. Mengyao glared at Yushu, but didn't say anything. Jiangwen was overjoyed at Yushu's words. Mengyao liked brave people? It seemed like Taizao's question was right. It seemed like he'd have to do his best then. Thus, he said, I was once at a beach. I was swimming when I suddenly heard screams and cries for help not far behind me. As soon as I turned around, I saw a big shark swimming toward me. At this time, I didn't think of running away, but I wanted to save these tourists from danger. So I quickly swam toward the shark. The shark saw me and thought that I was coming to die. It was very happy and wanted to swim over to eat me. How could it know that it was actually itself that was going to die? Wow, Jangwon bro, you're so brave. Yushu exclaimed. It's all right. Jangwon got even more excited after hearing Yushu's praise. He started making up stories with the help of the alcohol. I punched the shark in the mouth and broke all its teeth. That shark lost its teeth and became a toothless tiger. It couldn't eat me anymore, so it was stunned. Then it turned around and tried to run, and how could I let it get away? Trying to run after scaring people? How could it be that easy? So I grabbed the shark's tail and swung it around, and it fell on the beach with a loud bang, getting a concussion.
Shit.
Yushu's eyes widened in disbelief. Jangwon bro, you're so strong. I heard that shark teeth are the toughest animal teeth in the world, and you can even break them. You're so strong. Jangwon paused. How would he know how strong a shark's teeth were? He'd only seen sharks in the aquarium when they were alive. He'd never touched a real one before. He was just making up stories to show off his bravery. He didn't think too much about it. But now that the words had been said, there was no room for regret. He had to bite the bullet and said, it's all right. It's not very powerful. Oh, Jangwon bro, I have a shark tooth keychain here. Can you show me how to break it? Yushu took out a keychain and put it on the table. This was the shark that Lin-E killed last time, and Yushu took one of its teeth and made it into a keychain out of boredom.
What?
Jangwon's eyes widened, and his face almost cramped. He didn't think that Yushu would really take out a tooth for him to break. Was this a joke? Shark teeth were the toughest teeth in the world, and he wouldn't even be able to break a normal tooth. Chapter 630. Buy one free 1-inch ha. That shark's teeth weren't very sturdy, Jangwon said with a laugh. Not very sturdy? What do you mean? Yushu blinked confusedly. Mengyao couldn't help but want to laugh. Her best friend looked like an idiot, but unknowingly, she could twist other people's words around and mess with them. That shark might have had fake teeth. That's why it wasn't sturdy. Taizao quickly helped Jangwon out of the predicament. Fake teeth? Sharks go to dentists? Yushu said, surprised. There's a clinic in the sea? Jangwon was pissed. Was there something wrong with this Taizao? Even if he was drunk, he shouldn't be talking nonsense. Sharks had fake teeth? Did he think it was a human? No, don't listen to him. Jangwon said quickly. The shark I hit was an old one. Its teeth were loose, so it couldn't take a hit. Oh, it's an old shark. Yushu nodded. Jangwon bro, you're amazing. You can even tell that it's an old shark. Haha, that's true. Alright, let's not talk about this. Let's move on to the next question. Jangwon waved his hand. I'll invite you to my house one day. I still have the shark skin. Oh, alright, I've never seen an old shark skin before. I'll have to get someone to appraise it. Yushu nodded. Sharks are my favorite thing to do. Jangwon almost scolded himself for being an idiot. Why did he bring up shark skin for no reason? What if Yushu went to see it? Where would he get it for her? Shark skin was easy to find, as he could just buy one from the market, but old shark skin was hard to find. What if Yushu found out that it wasn't an old shark? Wouldn't he be slapping himself in the face? Alright, we'll talk about it another day. Jangwon could only force himself to agree.
He turned to Yutian.
Yutian bro, it's my turn to ask. Okay, go ahead. Chen Yutian looked at Jangwon making a fool out of himself. He felt that it was funny. His sister was really a clown. She could even squeeze someone to death with her words. Who is the most important person to you? And Jangwon wanted to ask some tricky questions, but remembered that Taizao said that the first round would be some normal questions. It wouldn't be good if he asked some tricky questions, so he decided to ask a normal one. As far as he was concerned, the most important person to Yutian was naturally Lingshan. For me, The most important person is none other than my instructor during my special training. Chun Yutian looked at Lin Yi with respect, but Lin Yi didn't even look at him. Yutian was disappointed, but he continued. He changed my life, gave me dreams, gave me goals, and made me a great soldier. If possible, I want to be his student forever. Yutian's words confused Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao. Yutian had changed a lot these few years, but they didn't know who his instructor was. They didn't think much of it. Whether or not he was still pursuing Lingshan had nothing to do with Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao. Yushu, on the other hand, looked at her brother in shock. She didn't expect her brother, who was obsessed with Lingshan, to say something like this. The most important person to him was actually his instructor. From the looks of it, my brother has really matured a lot, and he also has a new life ideal and goal. But who is his instructor? Was he really that good? Was he as good as Shield Bro? Alright, Shu, it's my turn to ask you. Yutian didn't wait for Jiang Wen to say anything. He asked Yushu directly, who do you think is better, me or your Shield Bro? Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao, of course, knew who Shield Bro was. They thought that Yutian was angry when he asked this question. Otherwise, he wouldn't ask this question. If Yushu didn't answer well, Yutian and Lin Yi would probably have a conflict, wouldn't they? Jiang Wen was gloating. He had a good relationship with Lin Yi on the surface, but that was only because Lin Yi was always by Ming Yao's side, giving him information. In fact, Jiang Wen hated Lin Yi a lot. He was messed with by Lin Yi twice in this room of Starlight Hotel. How could Jiang Wen forget that humiliation? If Yutian could beat up Lin Yi for him, Jiang Wen would be very happy. Yutian was Yushu's brother. Even if he beat up Lin Yi wouldn't dare to fight back because of Meng Yao, right? Haha, then this beating would be for nothing. Lin Yi was really unlucky. But it all depended on Yushu's answer. So, Jiang Wen waited for Yutian to finish his question and stared at Yushu, waiting for her answer. Oh, I think Shield Bro's a little stronger, right? Yushu wasn't expecting a question like that. Was he still holding a grudge against her for that phone call? But seeing that her brother wasn't showing any hostility towards Lin Yi, Yushu didn't care anymore. Alright, Shu, it's your turn to ask Meng Yao. Yutian smiled and didn't say anything else. Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao's eyes widened. What the hell was going on? When did Chen Yutian's temper become so good? Then I'll ask. Yushu nodded and looked at Meng Yao. Yao, I'll be the second wife, and you'll be the main wife. Won't you bully me? I don't want to be bullied. Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What kind of question was that? Be a concubine? Did Yushu really take it seriously? Yutian was taken aback as well. His sister's way of thinking was really weird. She wanted to be a concubine? Jiang Wen, on the other hand, almost felt his heart explode after hearing Yushu's words. Yushu wasn't bad-looking, and she had a great body, but it'd be a disaster if he married her. He knew Yushu's personality very well. She liked Meng Yao, and if he married Meng Yao, how was he going to live with this buy one get one free system? Those who didn't know Yushu's personality would think that it was a great deal, but those who knew Yushu's personality would know that she was bringing a troublemaker home. He didn't want to live in the shadow of being messed with every day. In this short dinner, Yushu had messed with him a few times. If he brought her home, how could he live? Chapter 631. It's a tragedy to take a risk. Oh, then it's settled. I'll be a small wife from now on. Yushu said happily. Ahem, Yutian bro. I think there's something wrong with Shu's way of thinking. Jiang Wen's heart was about to explode. This was unacceptable. It was a man's dream to have a mistress, but it didn't matter what type of mistress they were. If he married Yushu as well, wouldn't he be screwed to death? Was he going to live or not? Kids always like to mess around. Yutian didn't think much of it. He thought that his sister was joking. After all, it sounded ridiculous. His sister's way of thinking had always been different from others. It was possible that she was lying to Jiang Wen. This doesn't seem like fooling around. Jiang Wen said earnestly, Yutian bro, you have to guide your sister properly. This is a new era. How can there still be mistresses? This won't do. You have to educate her properly. But Tian didn't say anything when Yushu spoke up first. This is between me and Yao Yao, sis. What does it have to do with you?
GA.
Jiangwen didn't know what to say. Yeah, this was someone else's business. Was it he being a busybody? If he confessed to Meng Yao and Meng Yao accepted him, then it would have nothing to do with him. But he hadn't confessed yet, had he? All right, it's Sister Yao Yao's turn to ask a question. Yushu glared at Jiangwen impatiently. Yao Yao, it's your turn to ask. Meng Yao didn't know what to ask, but after some thought, she still didn't know what to ask. Can I give this authority to Shu? All right, I'll leave it to Shu then. Jiangwen was in a rush to confess, so there was no reason for him to reject Meng Yao's suggestion. Okay, I love asking questions. Yushu rubbed her hands together, smiling at Taizao. Taizao bro, can I ask a question now? All right, ask away. Taizao nodded as well. He wanted to ask a question that Jiangwen could confess to. He was in a rush as well. Taizao bro, when did you stop wetting your bed? Yushu asked.
What?
Taizao's eyes went wide, not expecting a question like this. It was a funny question, but it was also a sharp one. Su Taizao had a secret, and that was that he had been wetting his bed since he was young. Although not many people knew about the secret, those who were close to him knew a thing or two. It was just that they didn't want to lose face and wouldn't mention it in front of him. When Taizao was in kindergarten, he once peed all over the kid who slept in the lower bunk. From then on, Taizao never stayed at a school or anything like that again. Even now, he didn't dare drink too much water at night because he was afraid of wetting the bed. This secret was an eternal pain in his heart. Taizao didn't know how to answer Yushu's sudden question. Truth or dare meant that you had to tell the truth. Of course, you could lie if you wanted to, as long as you didn't get caught. But Taizao didn't dare live. This was a secret, but there were people who knew about it. He even thought that Yushu was asking this question because she knew about it. If he lied, Yushu would see through him, and that'd be even more embarrassing. Taizao hated it, but there was nothing he could do about it. The reason was simple: Yushu was that kind of person. Even Jiangwen was being tortured by her. What was he? Taizao didn't want to tell the truth. He couldn't tell her that he was still wetting his bed, could he? That'd be too embarrassing. But if he didn't say it, he'd have to choose dare or drink as punishment. Taizao had drunk quite a bit already, and it'd be bad if he drank anymore. He thought about it and decided to choose dare. I refuse to answer. I choose dare? Oh, that's great. Finally, there's a dare. Yushu clapped her hands in praise. Taizao was even more certain that Yushu was doing this on purpose. She wanted to see if he would take the risk, so she asked this tricky question. In fact, Yushu was just asking randomly. Yutian knew a bit about Taizao's secret, but he wouldn't tell his sister about it. Yushu's question was pure luck. Taizao bro, I order you to drink 2 bottles of red wine. Yushu said after some thought.
What?
Taizao almost jumped out of his chair. 2 bottles of red wine? What kind of joke was this? He didn't choose to drink as punishment because he didn't want to drink anymore, but Yushu was ordering him to drink 2 bottles of red wine? Was she messing with him? But he couldn't go back on his decision since he chose dare. Yushu's request wasn't too much, and it was normal. He couldn't reject it. Taizao was hesitating, and Meng Yao couldn't help but laugh. This Yushu really knew how to play with people. Wasn't she purposely making Taizao regret? Taizao bro, is 2 bottles too little? Why don't you drink 4? Yushu looked at Taizao innocently, as if she wasn't the one who did this. What kind of joke was this? 4 bottles? Taizao was glad that Yushu wanted him to drink 2 bottles. If he drank 4, he'd be dead. All right, hurry up and drink. We'll continue after that. Jiangwen's mind was on the confession, so he didn't really care if Taizao drank or not. He just wanted the game to continue. Since Jiangwen said so, Taizao had no choice but to drink 2 bottles of red wine. All right, let's continue. It's my turn to ask a question. And bro, I want to ask you this. Do you have someone in your heart? Of course. Jiangwen saw that Taizao was finally getting to the main point, and he started talking excitedly. My sweetheart is my childhood sweetheart, Yao Yao. I've been secretly in love with her since I was young. hoping that she'd be my girlfriend when I grow up and we'll get married and have kids. Oh, then do you want to have sex with Yao Yao, sis? Yushu interrupted suddenly. Of course. Jiang Wen blurted out without thinking, but felt that something wasn't right.
What?
Chapter 632. Sorry, Mingyao frowned and glared at Jiang Wen in disgust. She turned to Yushu. Shu, don't use those vulgar words. Oh, I'm just making sure. Yushu stuck her tongue out. Yao Yao, don't misunderstand, Jiang Wen found it hard to explain. If he denied it and said that he didn't want to do it with her, wouldn't that mean that he didn't like her?
How was he supposed to confess then?
But it wasn't right to say that he wanted to. Jiang Wen was about to go crazy from anger. This Yushu was a complete mess. Thank goodness he'd listed her as an unwelcome guest from the very beginning. Otherwise, wouldn't his life be shortened if he brought her home? He was pissed to death every day. I'm sorry, Jiang Wen bro. I don't want to do it with you, Yushu said regretfully. What does that have to do with you? Jiang Wen thought. It had nothing to do with her. Even if she wanted to do it with him, he wouldn't dare to do it. But since Yushu changed the topic, it was exactly what Jiang Wen wanted. He could use another topic to ease the awkwardness. Of course it has something to do with me. Yushu nodded seriously. Yao Yao is the main wife, and I'm the second wife. If you want to do it with her, you'll have to do it with the second wife, right? But I don't like you, I won't do it with you. Jiang Wen was speechless. He wanted to yell at her, but he didn't dare to. Yu Tian frowned as well. He didn't expect his sister to be so bold. It seemed like he had to find a chance to understand his sister's current life. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao stopped her. You're a girl. Don't keep saying that word. It's not good. All right, Yao Yao, I won't say anymore. Yushu closed her mouth after saying that. Jiang Wen didn't have any temper at all. He smiled dryly and gave Taizao a look, telling him to continue confessing to Meng Yao in the next round. Yushu ruined it this round, and it was impossible to continue. Brother Yutian, it's my turn to ask you. Jiang Wen wanted to end this round as soon as possible so that Taizao could continue asking him questions. That instructor you're talking about, who is he? I can't say. It's confidential. Yutian knew that he wasn't the star of the show today. He came here because Lingshan rejected him, and he had nowhere else to go. He didn't expect to see Lin Yi here. This was his biggest reward tonight. Although Lin Yi didn't seem to want to talk about the past, it wasn't important. As long as he found Lin Yi's people, he would have more chances to interact with them in the future. Qin Yutian believed that Lin Yi, one of his best students, wouldn't leave him alone. So Yutian wasn't interested in any games. The only reason he stayed here was to sit face to face with Lin Yi. What a thrilling and exciting thing this was. The instructor who used to be unreachable could actually sit at the same table as him today. How glorious was this? If his former teammates knew about this, they'd probably die from jealousy. Jiang Wen and Taizao froze at Yutian's words. They thought that it was just a normal topic, and Yutian would just say a few words. They didn't expect him to keep it a secret. Was there something special about this instructor's identity? But even if it was special, it had nothing to do with Jiang Wen and Taizao. They didn't dare to be interested. Jiang Wen was getting impatient, but he continued. Then, Yutian bro, do you want to drink as a penalty or dare? I'll drink as a penalty. Yutian's alcohol tolerance was quite good, especially after being stationed at the border for the past few years. It was hard to get through the cold winter nights without alcohol, so his alcohol tolerance was much better than before. Yutian opened a bottle of red wine and drank it without blinking. He turned to Shu and asked, Shu, do you have a boyfriend? Chun Yutian felt that his sister was getting more and more open-minded. He wanted to test her to see if she had a boyfriend. Oh, I want one too, but Yao Yao sis isn't good enough. She doesn't have a boyfriend, and I can't find one either, Yushu said angrily.
No?
Yutian froze. Still, this was good news. It was just that her sister's way of thinking was a little weird. Was she really that close with Meng Yao? Why did she have to be a mistress?
No.
Yushu shook her head. All right, it's my turn to ask. Yao Yao sis, when are you going to find a boyfriend? I don't know. Meng Yao glared at Yushu. Don't keep asking weird questions. This is truth or dare. Of course I have to ask weird questions. Yushu didn't care. Man, I still want to do 3P. If you don't find a boyfriend, when will it happen? Ha? Not only Jiang Wen and Tai Zhao, but Yu Tian's eyes widened as well. He didn't expect Yushu to say something like this. 3P? Jiang Wen's face twitched. It felt good to do 3P, but he didn't have the guts to do it with Yushu. He didn't want to die yet. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was used to it. He sat there expressionlessly. Shu, didn't I tell you not to say it? Why are you using such vulgar words? Meng Yao was getting angry. Yao Yao sis, I didn't say that. I said 3P, not asterisk asterisk. Yushu argued. It's the same. Don't say it again. Meng Yao humphed. Fine, I'll tell you when I get home. Yushu whispered. Not even when you get home. Meng Yao glared at her. She didn't want to continue this topic. All right, you can continue asking Tai Zhao bro questions. Tai Zhao's heart skipped a beat. Yushu was still asking questions? No way. But before he could say anything, Yushu started the second round of questions. Tai Zhao bro, do you still wet your bed? Yushu wasn't stupid. Tai Zhao's rejection of dare made her feel that something was wrong. She thought that Tai Zhao must have wet his bed, so she decided to ask a similar question. You can't do that. I've asked this question before. Tai Zhao jumped up. Chapter 633. Chapter 633. The same question. Yu Tian and Jiang Wen didn't say anything because they knew about Tai Zhao's problem. They just didn't say it out loud. But Jiang Wen felt that Yushu's question was a bit sharper. This girl was really hard to deal with. Yu Tian could only smile bitterly. He didn't know if his sister was really just a coincidence or if she knew something beforehand. This question is different from the previous one. The previous question was how old did you stop wetting your bed? The question now is, do you still wet your bed? Is it the same? It's obviously not the same, isn't it? Yushu explained with her fingers. Isn't it the same? Tai Zhao felt a headache coming on. Tai Zhao bro, you said it yourself. It's not the same, not the same. You can answer now. Yushu said. Tai Zhao didn't think that he'd fall into Yushu's trap again. He smiled bitterly, not daring to choose dare this time. He picked up a bottle of red wine. I'll drink this as punishment. I refuse to answer. After finishing the wine, Tai Zhao took a few deep breaths and recovered a bit. Seeing that Jiang Wen was getting impatient, he quickly asked, and bro, it's my turn now. I want to ask you, what does your ideal girlfriend look like? Ideal girlfriend. Jiang Wen saw that it was time for him to show off again. He couldn't fall for Yushu's tricks again. He couldn't just answer her sneaky questions like that. He must finish his confession in one breath. My ideal girlfriend, she must have beautiful long hair. Height must be about 1.65 meters tall, slightly thin, pure and beautiful, and just like you and Yao Yao. All right, Jiang Wen bro, it's your turn to ask my bro. I've already prepared a new question for Yao Yao. Hurry up. Yushu interrupted Jiang Wen before he could say anything. Wait, I'm not done yet. Jiang Wen was panicking. Yushu again? Why was she so annoying? You're done? Tai Zhao bro asked you what your ideal girlfriend looks like, and you've already answered, just like Yao Yao sis. Yushu said. See, you're done. I'm not done yet. I haven't explained the rest yet. Jiang Wen was pissed. Do you still need to explain? Then hurry up and explain. Yushu was a little impatient, and said dully. Where was I? Jiang Wen asked, forgetting his lines after being interrupted by Yushu. You said that you want to find a girlfriend, just like Yao Yao sis. Yushu said, all right, Jiang Wen bro, I hope you can find a girlfriend like Yao Yao sis. Do you have anything else to say? Wah. Jiang Wen froze. Find a similar one? I'm looking for Meng Yao. What's the point of looking for someone like her? So he hurriedly said, I want to find Yao Yao. That won't do. Yao Yao already has someone she likes, and I don't like you. Yushu waved her hand. All right, let's move on to the next round. Jiang Wen was so pissed off that his nose was crooked. Was this Yushu sent by the heavens to go against him? Although he didn't finish his sentence, Jiang Wen couldn't continue with Yushu's interference. All right, let's move on to the next round. Yutian bro, do you still want to marry Lingshan? I'm not thinking about it anymore. Haha, I feel like the gap is getting bigger and bigger and the hope is getting smaller and smaller. Yutian didn't avoid this question. He shook his head and said faintly. Yutian finished answering this question, and now it was Yutian's turn to ask Yushu. Yutian thought about what he should ask his sister.
He had asked everything he needed to ask.
His sister didn't have a boyfriend yet, so she was probably still pretending to get a room. She was still as dumb as before. Right? When you were young, you buried a metal box with Yao Yao in the yard. What's the secret in it? Yutian asked his sister curiously, but she blushed and refused to answer. Meng Yao also avoided answering this question on purpose. After a period of time, Yutian was very curious about the secret in the box, but he couldn't get an answer. After that, he joined the special training team and grew up, becoming an armed police soldier stationed at the border. That box, it's actually nothing much. It's just a vow between me and Yao Yao sis. Yushu didn't feel embarrassed anymore. After all these years, Yushu's personality had formed. She was always this kind of dumb person. Great intelligence looks dumb, and she would never pay for it.
Vow? What vow?
Yutian asked. Jiang Wen, on the other hand, had his eyes wide open, waiting for Yushu's answer. He wasn't interested in other people's business, but Yushu said that it involved Meng Yao's vow. He was very interested in anything related to Meng Yao. Our vow was that Yao Yao's sis and I will marry the same man. Yao Yao's sis will be the big wife, and I will be the small wife, Yushu said proudly. Shu, don't talk nonsense. Meng Yao blushed. What kind of vow was this? She didn't know why she agreed to it in the first place. She thought that she didn't want to be separated from Shu in the future and that they could be together forever. But now that she grew up, she realized how childish she was back then. Was such a thing really possible? Could Shu really marry the same man as her? Even if she agreed, wouldn't it scare her future boyfriend? Meng Yao didn't know what to ask, but an image appeared in her mind.
Lin Yi.
Why did she think of him? It'd be quite a good match if Shu married him. He was probably the only one who could handle Yushu's antics. They'd been living under the same roof for so long, and he didn't seem to be sick of Yushu at all. Yutian didn't expect his sister to make such a vow at such a young age. Could it be that what she said about the big wife and small wife was true? Was she really going to marry the same man as Meng Yao? Isn't this a little too inconceivable? This wasn't in line with House Chen's interests. How could the daughter of House Chen be someone's small wife? How could Grandpa agree? Of course, if that man was very powerful and was the target of competition from the noble houses, then it was possible. But this kind of person was too rare. Even if there was one, would he be able to stand his sister? If he didn't enjoy the tenderness of a small wife, he would be tricked to death by the small wife. You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.